No, there ain't no stopping us. Fly without boarding pass. Couldn't catch me, I be moving fast. Call me a shooting star. Let 'em know who you are. Flying up in a bar. Wish on a star. Time to show 'em who's in charge. Call me a shooting star. Didn't even get to cross. I said I'm moving too far. Get to glass. Looking at a shooting star. Got more than a couple of people going mad. I swear they're rooting hard. Tell them I be big in the game like she went and got them breast implants. I said I'm moving too fast. Didn't even get a glance. I'm ready to eat up track like I'm seated in a restaurant. If you had swag like mine, you know it's best to flaunt. We aren't hating because you want. Shining like it's neon. Rock like kings of Leon. Shooting stars across the galaxy. I stand out, so don't be mad at me. Infiltrate, I'm with my strategy. When I turn up, then I just have to leave. Shooting stars across the galaxy. I stand out, so don't be mad at me. Infiltrate, I'm with my strategy. When I turn up, then I just have to leave. Yeah, shoot. Yeah, shoot. Yeah, shooting. Yeah, shooting shots. Shooting stars. Didn't even get to cross.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away? Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away?
What's happening, people? Welcome to Tottenham Away, the best place to be in town on a Tuesday night. That's right. We had to move it one day. Sorry, we'll be back to Monday next week. We've got a wonderful biased panel for you, the echo chamber that you dream of. That's right. No, actually, we've got quite a good panel tonight. This is going to be a lot of different opinions. It won't be the same voice that sometimes you complain about. The return of Will Stewart on the podcast. Unbelievable. He's back with a Hawaii shirt. We've got Maz, we've got Ian, we've got Lee. How's everyone doing? Will, how you doing, man? Long time. It's good to see you on the show again.
Yeah, I'm doing good, I guess. You know, I'm alive. I'm breathing.
Alive and kicking. Maz, you all right? Good?
All good, man. All good. Good to see the philosopher is back, gracing us with his presence. Yeah, no, all good. All good.
Ian, how you doing? Good to have you back on the show.
Thanks. Yeah, no, looking forward to the show. All good tonight. All good tonight.
And Lee. Lee, how are you doing? The negative Nancy, as he calls himself.
I'm the most positive one, aren't I? No, I'm good. I'm good, mate. Glad to see the Premier League back this weekend. With some dreary stuff with the international break, but back on it. And what better way to get back on it than the North London derby? Make it much bigger than that.
Actually, the international break might have been a good thing for us because Arsenal have got a couple of injuries, so this it could actually be a good international break for us. But we'll get into it. Big up to every single person in the chat. Thanks for being here. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, put your comments up. We'll go for as many as we can as the show goes on. Appreciate you all being here. Just to quickly let you know, Mari is doing a show. North London is ours on Thursday. I've got a show tomorrow night, fan calling show where you can call in, and then we'll have our post-match show on Sunday. And Will might do a philosopher show this week. We'll see how it goes. But guys, thanks for being here. So I was going to say, should we just start with the North London derby? Because there's other bits of news that have been happening regarding Spurs this week, especially today. Should we talk about North London derby first, seeing as that's the big thing this week? Yeah. All right, so the big news as it stands is this man, Declan Rice, who got the red card against Brighton, is suspended. Marino, their new signing in midfield, is injured. And international duty, Martin Odegaard, their only number 10, I think, suffered an ankle strain. He's out, boarded the plane back home on crutches. He won't be playing. So that's almost most of them midfield decapitated. The Suma, however, he went off injured. We won't know until match day. And I'm not sure about Solanke or Van der Ven. I guess we'll find out in the press conference before the game. But, Will, as it stands, it's so hard to predict this game. One, because we don't know what Spurs will turn up. Two, we don't know what we're going to be like in front of goal and in defence. Three, I don't think Arsenal have been that great this season so far. And four, no one knows what players will or won't be fit for Spurs. I've also had Calafiori. He's out for Arsenal as well, so the backup defender. So what are you thinking, Will? How do you feel about this one?
Well, I mean, if we had, so I think from what I've heard so far this week is that Solanke is probably likely to come back, more likely than not. I think Van der Ven is still a question mark. Look, it's all going to come down to if we finish our chances or not. I mean, for me, this season, that's been the only problem, right? Like, I think if you're looking at defensively, you know, all of the goals that we've conceded have been individual errors. You know, staying true to my nature as a statistic guy, you know, we have allowed the least passes into our penalty area of any team in the league. We've allowed only City has allowed fewer passes into the final third. Only, you know, we've had the least amount of touches inside of our own box. So defensively, I don't think we've had any problems. In fact, if we hadn't conceded the goals that we did, we would probably, on paper, have the best defense in the league right now. The problem for me is our front line can't score.
Will, can I question what you just said there?
Yeah.
Can I question those stats? Because last season, we were one of the bottom teams in the league for giving away big chances, and that's kind of what cost us. So what you're saying now is we're actually quite good at not allowing balls into our half or into our box. But yet,
only City's allowed fewer shots on target. We've had the same amount.
Yeah, so this is my point though. So we haven't fixed the big chances issue that we're giving away.
No, I mean we have. We've conceded the least amount. There's only one team in the league who's conceded less chances than us, and that's Manchester City.
But yeah. I mean big chances though, like ones where you can't really miss.
The difference between last season and this season is that we were not only conceding big chances, but shots, period. We conceded more shots, just shots in general, last season than almost every team in the top 10.
Yeah, I'm talking about big chances though, like specifically big chances.
Chances. The only difference between a big chance and a regular chance is the XG of that particular shot, which isn't that high. We're only, I think, 6th in the league as far as XG against. So we haven't even conceded that many big chances. We've conceded maybe 3, and we've had 3 goals scored against us.
Because you look at Newcastle's win, and it's like it's a piece of cake. Pass it 6 yards across, tap in, open goal. You know,
that's even more worrying, though, Will. Right? The fact that all they need is the one chance, and we're conceding.
Yeah, but I think it comes down to you just defensive errors from the individuals. For example, it's where we give the ball away, how we give the ball away. You know, Adogi was responsible for a lot of the big chances that we conceded in the first game. The second day, against Leicester, and then you have against Newcastle. It was the first goal. I blame Papamatasar for not tracking back. I think the defenders, as they were running back to goal and blocking crossing lanes inside the box, were doing fine, but nobody tracked the runner into the box. And then that second goal for Newcastle was simply just positioning problem there, and Romero looking in midfield and Adogi being out of position.
And Maddison losing the ball.
Right, and then Madison giving the ball away. So I mean, for me, it's been just simple mistakes. And when you play a high risk system, you have to be able to be focused all the time. You can't, and it's no difference. I mean, if we were to play a deep line, or if we were to park the bus, and you have defenders, I don't know if you guys remember last season, but like Emerson Royale facing the absolute wrong way inside the box, isn't covering his man at all, you're going to concede goals anyway. But if you're talking about crosses, allowing the number of crosses that we allow into the box, the only crosses that have come into the box have been off Adoji's side. Every single one that's come into our box has been from Adoji's side of the pitch. Pedro Porro hasn't allowed a single cross into the box. The runs in behind, shots on target, touches in our box, passes. Tottenham Hotspur has allowed the least amount of progressive passes from any team in the league. So no team has allowed just even a progressive pass. We've allowed fewer progressive passes than any team in the league. So defensively, we're actually playing really, really well. I think our defense has actually improved miles over last season.
We've played two crap teams though, or one crap team, one newly promoted team as well. So maybe that it's too early to say.
Yeah, I think that the pool, the data pool at the moment is a bit too small. I think
right, but I mean, so far is what I'm saying. So far,
yeah,
this season,
no, I agree.
And we have increased. We lead the league in almost every offensive stat. We lead as far as chances created, corner kicks, everything. We just can't score.
But the problem with I would say with those stats is that it doesn't. Although the stats are good in themselves, when you watched the Newcastle game, and more specifically the Leicester, we looked vulnerable when they did attack. We don't look sure-footed, and I'm not sure the stats would reflect what the eyes would see in that scenario.
What the argument that I'm making is that with
Will, I think your mic is a bit low, by the way, just to let you know.
It's like super loud in my ears. I don't know why.
Everyone in the comments is saying it's low. So
yeah, so I'll turn it up. But how about now?
That's much better. Yeah, that's much better.
So the argument that I'm making is, if we scored 50% of the chances in this first game and the third game that we should have scored, is anybody talking about the one defensive mistake that caused us to not keep a clean sheet? No. The problem,
you're right,
the defensive issues are far less severe than the fact that we're getting 20 shots, 22 shots, half of those being on target, and then getting, almost averaging anywhere plus to 12 plus corner kicks a game, and we can't score a goal, right?
Yeah, I mean, but that's a carry on, isn't it, from last season, and the fact that there's no real creativity up front that causes those chances to be missed all the time, because we're so route one in the sense, not route one down the middle, but we only know one way to attack, in my point of view, where we horseshoe it around the penalty box and then try and do a little dinky pass for someone to run in behind and square it into the box. And then because we keep doing the same thing, a lot of those chances get cut out, or they get missed, or they get blocked, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, but it's not even about the amount of shots that get blocked, because we actually have just simply shots on target. We are second most in the league. Only Nottingham Forest has more shots on target than us.
Can I give you the stats for the first three games? Defensively, we have only conceded 7 shots in 3 games on target.
Yep.
And of those 7 shots, we've conceded 3 goals.
Mm-hmm.
Off target, we've only conceded 9. So there's only been 16 shots in 270 plus minutes. In terms of attacking, we've had 20 on target and scored 6. Off target, 14 and blocked another 14. So we scored 6 from 48 shots.
Yeah, that's really
Possession-wise, we're averaging 68.9% possession over the 3 games.
Yep, most in the league.
70.5, 70.5, and then 65.7 against Newcastle. So, when you compare performances to last season, forget Leicester because we didn't play them last year. But Everton at home, we were very fortunate to win that game. And Newcastle away, we got absolutely battered. So the performances in terms of how we did against those in those 2 games have been an improvement on last season. So that's encouraging. The problem we've got, and I swing the opposite. I swing the other way to you, Will, in terms of the argument that if we'd have been scoring the goals, we wouldn't be talking about the goals conceded. If you don't concede, we win 3 matches, don't we?
Sure, if you keep a clean sheet, but that's very
absolutely.
Rare to do, right?
So we've scored. We scored in all 3 games. As I say, if we don't make those mistakes,
we didn't score the last game. It was an
well. The ball was on its way in. He's basically held it on, hasn't he? It was the ball was on.
Well, it was coming across the face of goal. It wouldn't have actually gone in if it wasn't knocked in by Baumann.
So for me, it's whichever way it goes in. If we hadn't have conceded, we'd have won that game 1-0. So I think you've got to look at it, and top teams have top defences. The teams that win the leagues normally have the best or the second best defensive record in the division.
Why aren't we keeping clean sheets, guys? We've only kept 3 clean sheets in something like 30 games. Why is that? Because
with the system
for so many low number of shots we're facing, for so many low number of big chances, we're keeping teams at bay. Yet we can't keep a clean sheet. Like what's going wrong then defensively?
I mean, we did keep a clean sheet. We kept a clean sheet against Everton, right? And so I'm saying
that's one of 3 in 30 games, though. Will, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
It's like,
but what I'm saying is when you look at the run of play, right? So not the result, but the run of play. Our defense is performing better than Arsenal's, right? The difference is in the end product. So the run of play is always based on the system, and the final product is always based on the quality of the player, right? So it's the system that provides the space, the positioning, the run of play, how the team moves, how they break lines, how they progress forward. That's all down to the system. Whether the ball hits the back of the net or not is down to the quality of the individual player. Whether the ball doesn't go into the back of the net, it comes down to the quality of the individual defender, right? It's the system that sets the team up. In the run of play, it's down to the quality of the player or the final result and how the outcome comes. And unfortunately, we have a player like Udogie playing left back who makes really bad decisions, gives the ball away all of the time, and is constantly out of position and not getting back. His positioning is far worse than Pedro Porro's, in my opinion. And then going forward, we have wingers that are fast, but have no end product whatsoever. So that's why we're losing games.
So defensively, you're blaming it all on Udogie?
Not all on Udogie, but the first game, who was at fault for those goals? Who let the cross come in? Who didn't go out and get touch tight to his man?
Well,
that was Udogie, but then Vardy was free. So what were the centre backs and the right back doing?
If you look at the highlights of that game, Romero has run past Vardy. All he had to do was stop and mark him. If he'd have marked him, we'd have won that game 1-0. Simple. That was it. He ran past him and ran into space and left Vardy on his own. So, he'll look back at that and think, Jesus, how did I make that mistake?
I mean, the whole defensive line shifted over, except for Udogie, didn't get touch tight to the man making the cross. Just stood there and watched him basically play a little dink over the top of himself over to.
I was away, so I watched the game live from a sports bar in the States. So I sat down last night and just caught up on the chats at half time and after the game, and they all made the point. Very simple mistake. Romero's run past Vardy. He's made up the ground on Vardy, but he's run past him instead of stopping and marking him. He's run past him, so he's in the middle of the 6-yard box, and Vardy's on his own. Easy header. There was no challenge.
Can I tell you what I see here, right? Lee, feel free to jump in whenever you want, by the way. I see a team that is so heavily coached on attack and ball possession and trying to create these similar type of chance, but sometimes, okay, we do take a shot from the middle, or we take a long range shot more this season. But I see a team that's so heavily coached to attack, possession, attack, that we don't dedicate enough time in how to defend as a unit when out of possession. I don't see us being coached that enough, because these individual errors and players just not marking players, or there's no one at the back coordinating the defensive line. I just feel that Ange's philosophy is go for the win, go for the win, go for the win. But when it's maybe not quite dropping for us, like Will, you said, we're not taking our chances, then you do need to be a bit defensive minded. And I don't think we are focused on that ever. And I think that's
then why have we conceded the least amount of touches in our box, the least amount of progressive passes, the least amount of crosses into our penalty area, the least amount of all of these things? Why is our defense numbers-wise prevented the opposition?
We're getting hit on the break. You don't need that many touches when you get in just 1-2 touch passes and then it's through and the striker's tapping it in from 6 yards. It's not constant pattern in your own box, is it?
Right, but let's take...
scored 2 goals. Out there, 2 goals. They maybe had 2 touches in the box.
Yeah, and also the quality
of the ball in the back of the net. That's the problem.
Yeah, but let's take the Newcastle game for example. The first goal that we conceded, our defenders weren't. Our defenders were goal side of the attackers. That goal came from our midfield not following the runner into the box. Right, Jamie Vardy's goal. Our defenders were goal side of the attackers.
No, they weren't. They weren't. Romero ran past him. Watch it again, please. Watch it again. Romero runs past Vardy
sideways,
along the 6-yard line. He ran past him and left him on his own at the back post.
But he was still goal side of him.
No, he was 2-3 yards away. Yep. He gave him so much space.
I'm sorry, but he was literally goal side of Vardy before the cross came into the box.
No, he wasn't.
He was.
He was level with Vardy, and he was too far over. The ball's gone over Romero's head, and Vardy's on his own at the back post for the free header. I watched it 4 times last night. He ran across the face of the goal to the other player. When the whole defensive line shifted to the left-hand side, their left-hand side, the opposition's right-hand side. But before that cross came in, Romero was goal side of Jamie Vardy. No, Romero was the wrong side of Vardy, and he made up the yards, but he's run past him instead of running.
Can you both agree then? Can you both agree whether he was goal side or whether he ran past him? Romero wasn't marking Vardy at the point he needed to, which was when Vardy headed the ball. Can we agree Romero didn't mark the man properly?
That's his man. Vardy's his man.
I'm not sure Vardy is his man in that particular scenario. I think that would be a right back, because if the ball's on the right hand far side of the pitch coming in, the whole defense is supposed to shift that direction. So your right back should have been doing far post. Your right center back should be doing near post. Your left center back should be covering that area there, and your left back should be being touch tight to the person crossing the ball in, the winger. That's how the defense shifts. And when it comes to the other side, it's the same way.
Look at these comments. One person says, Will, you're wrong. Next person, Will is right.
Yeah, I've just watched the goal back, Will, and Romero completely misreads the situation and runs towards the ball rather than actually marking the Vardy when it gets crossed.
Right, he runs to the other Leicester attacker who was in the mid, who was closer to the near post.
Yes.
Yeah.
Listen, let's bring it back to the original question, right? Will, so you kind of explained where you think we're at. What do you think then for this North London derby in terms of if you were to give a prediction and explain why you think that? I know it's hard because we don't know what the squads are going to look like, which makes it so difficult. How would you gauge it?
So the game is going to come down to we are going to dominate possession. We'll have at least 68% of the ball. We will have multiple corners, multiple shots on goal. And whether we win that game or not is down to whether the quality of our wingers and striker can finish their chances. And that's going to be that because Arsenal's not losing anyone in defense, right? So
that's right.
That's how the game's going to play. We'll dominate them in midfield, and we'll end up we'll have more shots than them. We'll have more possession than them. They'll sit back, and they'll probably get a couple chances on the counter. I mean, they still have Bukayo Saka, and if it's going to be exactly like the first 3 games, we'll dominate possession. We'll have a ton of chances, and whether we win or lose the game will come down to whether we finish our chances or not. Simple as.
Do you think we'll take our chances against them? Do you think we've got the players? Do you think Odebert will arrive? Will Brennan Johnson step up against the top 10 team?
No, Brennan Johnson doesn't have the quality. He can't finish. Odebert he's good on the ball. He's good at retaining ball. Even if he doesn't get past the man, he makes the attempt and keeps control of it. But his final pass and his final shot, I mean, I'm sorry, but I could have finished that chance he had against Newcastle. And he's another winger who has some decent attributes, but has no end product. And for me, the whole transfer window, that's what my complaint has been. We needed 2 quality wingers, and I mean wingers who can score 10 plus goals in the league a season, and we don't have that. We have Heung-min Son, who bounces around from striker to winger, and Heung-min Son will score 15 plus goals this season, guaranteed, but he can't do it by himself. And so we need Dominic Solanke to come in, and if he gets 15 goals in the league, we may have a chance of being somewhat competitive. But right now, the other 2 wingers that we have aren't doing enough, and we don't have another option.
Fair enough. Maz, how do you see this game going?
I'm struggling with it because I think their midfielders that are probably going to come in will still have enough to cause our midfield problems. And I think one of the reasons why we lack creativity is because our midfield is so stale.
Well, Maz, who is their midfield? Is Partey?
Well, it's going to be Partey, Jorginho, and they're probably going to drop Havertz in Odegaard's.
I've heard they bought some kid called Nweri. They might play the youngster.
I don't know. I don't think they will. I don't think they will. I think they'll drop Havertz in that game.
Arsenal fans, from what I hear, have all said if Havertz plays in the midfield, they've said we're losing the game. They really don't want him in midfield. They all say he's not good in that role. From what I've been hearing today.
Yeah, but who's he going up against from us?
No, it's the fact he just isn't good in that position, I think, is their issue.
No, I know. But what I mean is, based on
it'll be Maddison, probably Bentancur, Basuma if he's fit, or Pape. I don't know.
No, it should be our best midfield right now is Maddison, Kulu, and Bentancur.
I can't see us dominate. Even with their weakened midfield, I don't have faith at the moment. Not based on individual players and what they can do, but just based on how we play. And I don't think that we're going to be able to dominate that midfield. I hope I'm wrong, obviously. And as Will pointed out, which I do agree with, their defence is the same. So they're going to have a great defence, a midfield that will probably go toe-to-toe with our midfield. No doubt we're going to have possession. But I also wouldn't underestimate Arsenal either in going toe-to-toe with us on that front. So I'm thinking at best we're going to get a draw if their injuries really do affect their team. But I'm still not confident we're going to get anything more than a draw. And the likelihood is that we'll probably still lose. That's my hunch.
If we lose this with these injuries to Arsenal, I can see it getting a little bit toxic, personally speaking. But Ian,
What do
What
I
do you
think?
think? Yeah, do you
I think
think?
quite
Do
a
you think?
bit
Do
of
you- do you
quite a
come-
bit of Will summing up. I agree with. I think we will have a lot of the ball. I think Arsenal will sit back and hit us on the counter. I think we're far too open. You know, you've got Porro and Udogi who play in front of Madison, which is ridiculous. It's just nonsensical the way he has them playing is just crazy. It gives Madison no room to move. You know, we're cutting back on his capabilities. I can see a 2-1 defeat. I'm sorry, you know, regardless of the injuries. I just think, you know, if you got Romero and Mickey, if he's playing, he's 80% fit, isn't it? If he's 100% fit, fantastic. But the system doesn't help, and we get
We've
picked off.
converted positive Ian in 1 week. We've converted.
I think that I think we've played well. We played well for the first 3 games, and we should have finished up with 9 points, not 4.
Yeah, I agree.
But we're playing a top team now, and you can't play this system against the top teams because you get found out. I don't know if you guys remember, Gary O'Neill was on Sky Sports last season, and he was telling everybody how to play against Spurs,
Yeah, we've mentioned it on many shows.
and
Yeah.
it still hasn't changed. The whole world knows how to pick us off, and this manager is so intransigent and so inflexible. You know, you've got to change according to the game. No, I'm like Rob Frank's comment just up now. I am too used to the underachievement of our club to be a happy clapper.
Do you think it's the system, or do you think it's the quality of players we have? Our
I
squad?
think it's the system, Will. I think that if you play 3 at the back with Porro and Udogi as wing backs, then you solidify the defence. You play Porro and Udogi to their strengths, and I think the team plays a lot differently. I've never ever seen a team win any trophy with playing 2 at the back. Never.
So I mean, for example, if Postecoglou was managing Manchester City right now with the exact same squad, would he have lost to those first 3 games that we had?
He'd have won the first 3 games comfortably,
Right.
because he has
the quality of their squad.
players.
Right.
He has
That's what I'm
better
saying.
players.
So it's not the system; it's the quality of players that we have that are at fault.
I
But in the
think
exact same system, Postecoglou would have dominated those 3 teams with Manchester City side. It's not the system that's lacking; it's the quality of the player.
It is the system, because Postecoglou had the best players in Scotland and won with Celtic.
Yeah, you want to double.
You can afford to play 2 at the back and concede goals because you're going to score more. When you got people like Haaland up front, then you know you're guaranteed. I mean, the guy scored 7 goals in the first 3 games. He scored more than we have. You know, and we're scoring at 2 a game at the moment this season, and Haaland scored more. So if you've got the best players, you can play that system. We don't have the best players, and it's falling down, and we're far too open at the back. We don't have Walker's pace. You've got Walker, you've got Rodri there. You've got 4 centre backs in the back 4 that can all defend, that are all quick, and we got 2 centre backs, one with electric pace and one with okay pace. So it's completely different. It's, you know,
Right, it's different because we don't have the quality of squad that Manchester City
we don't
has.
have the
That's my
quality of
point,
squad,
right?
correct. So
Right, but the system, Postecoglou playing the system that he plays with a squad of Manchester City wins the league, right? So it's not the manager or his system that's the issue.
It's a big statement.
I don't think there's evidence for that, Will. There's no evidence for that at all.
100% there's evidence for that. For every squad that he's put together and all the other leagues that he's played for, he's won the league and he's won it easily.
It's not the Premier League though.
If you have the best players in the Premier League, which Manchester City does, right, as a unit, and you put Postecoglou's system, the way that he plays football, he wins this league, guaranteed. I think he wins it by 5, 6, 7, 8 points too. Not even close.
Will.
Yeah, he runs away with it.
I'm sorry,
He runs
Will.
away with it.
We've had this conversation many a time. You could have the best players in the world, when you're getting cut open by when we've been sitting here saying that for all through the summer transfer window that there's been no issue with the defence, we just need a couple of backups. All of our issues are up front and on the wings, etc. Better quality, and yet we're still getting cut open because of the way that the tactics leave
But we're
the
not getting
defence
cut open.
exposed.
Hang on,
We see it all the time. But anyway, it doesn't matter what quality of player you've got; it's the tactics that leave you two at the back. And
we had two speedy centre backs,
I just don't believe that. I
help,
don't
man.
believe that his system, even with better players, is not going to. The only caveat I'd say to this is that his philosophy, when you've got better players, may be what gets him through. I.e., you score more goals than they do. But I don't think it stops you from conceding goals. It's as simple as that.
He may not keep as many clean sheets, but Manchester City doesn't keep that many clean sheets either. Right, that's my point. The way that Pep Guardiola plays the game, they
But
concede
the
goals,
defensive stats are far superior, Will.
but they're not though. That's what I'm saying. This season right now, they're the only our defensive stats in the run of play are equal to and or better than Manchester City's.
But we've done an analysis over the last 31 games, and our defensive stats are woeful. In fact, they're so
after the
bad.
last 31 games, but I'm talking about this season, right? When you're talking
It's
3
too,
games
it's
in,
too much
Manchester
of a
City.
sample. It's too small of a sample, though, Will. We've got one relegation team in there, arguably 2 relegation teams in there, and a weakened Newcastle at the moment that aren't playing that great.
Right, but last season, due to the injury crisis that we had and the number of players
this
that were
season
in
or
and
last
out.
season?
Hold on.
Wait, sort it out.
Right, last season when we had when our back four that started the first 2 games of this season played together, we only conceded 17 goals. In the 19 games that they played together, we only conceded 17 goals. When we had 4 fullbacks playing center back, we conceded 4 or 5 in one game, right? So you can't really use all of last season as a pure metric to having the best
when we
quality
had our back
players in that
four,
system.
weren't we the 16th worst team in at the end of the season?
We
No.
were, yeah.
Yeah, we were.
But Man
In
City
24
played
we were,
2 top
Will.
10 teams. They've played Chelsea and West Ham so far. And Ipswich was the easy one. We've played Everton, who look like they're going to get relegated. Leicester, who are going to be in a relegation fight. And Newcastle, who... for me, Newcastle have been a little bit like Arsenal this season. I haven't been impressed by them so far. Take nothing away from Spurs because I do think we've been more attacking. I think it's a combination. I think the lack of quality wide players and another number 10 that can unlock doors is costing us because we are. I actually had this argument with Savard on a few shows in the last couple of weeks where I was saying to him, I think the system does work on an attacking front. I think it does work, but you need quality players in that front 3, which is where I agree with you, Will. I totally agree because I've been getting blasted on the internet for calling out Odebert, Johnson, Werner, Kulu. I've said none of them are good in these wide areas. Where I disagree, though, is I think the way we go about the attack, it's why I agree with Ian, Porro and Dogi being ahead of Maddison, I think it leaves us too open at the back, especially without a number 6. So I think a lack of quality is a big reason, but the defensive tactics, I think, don't do us any favours. Like that one ball over the top from Newcastle, the whole team gets wiped out. I think it's a bit of defensive tactics aren't good enough, and quality forwards aren't at the club in the wide areas. I think it's a combination of both.
In terms of the system, we were fortunate to get away with the points at Leicester because Vic saved Vardy. Take that incident in isolation. Bergval's on the ball. There's no support. He's held on to it. He's probably held on to it. He should have got rid of it because he's normally very good one touch and give. And he's got the picture in his head before he gets the ball. Found himself pending, lost the ball on the touchline. Had he been playing in a team that play a regular back 4 with a right back who's in the right position, Porro would have been available to have received the pass. Porro wasn't. He ended up losing the ball. Vardy's gone through, and Vicario saved us a point in the end. So that's just typical. You can't play your fullbacks as 10s and have your 10 playing behind the 2 fullbacks. It's an absolute nonsense. It's crazy.
Oh, all right. So look, Will is saying the game would depend on certain moments in the match. Maz is saying at best he thinks we get a draw. Ian, you're saying a 2-1 loss. JP, good to see you back, man. Hope the holiday was good.
Yeah, fantastic. Lovely to be away. Lovely to be back.
Welcome back to the joys of Tottenham. What do you think about this game? I don't know if you heard earlier on. There's quite a few injuries or suspensions for Arsenal players, but we don't know about our injuries. We don't know who's back, who's not back. We're not sure.
I think that's one of the things that makes it a little bit unpredictable, right? I think in a way we know where we are, and I heard Will speaking earlier. Like we are kind of almost dominating teams, or like at least the first 3 teams that we've played so far. Because I was looking at this the other day because I didn't get to watch all the games, so I was reading and looking at the internet stats and stuff like that. There's literally 70%, 70%, 68% or something like that worth of possession. And shot-wise, which is what I thought was interesting, we had like 20-odd shots in the first game, only 10 against Everton, I think. It looked like it went for a dip. And then we had 20 again against Newcastle. So it is a little bit up and down, but I think it's unpredictable because, one, I don't think Arsenal will totally overrun us. Because as I think you said earlier, they also don't seem to be clicking yet. And it's only 3 games, right? Everyone's only played 3 games so far. So I don't see them clicking yet. You know, like they don't look like they're pairing or whatever. So maybe it's a good time to play them. And we've kind of played the way I think Postecoglou wants us to play, as in that same pattern, right? High up, keep as much possession as possible, and have that many shots, right? So it's kind of who knows in a way. It does depend on who ends up playing, because I would feel a lot more comfortable if I knew Solanke was playing and if I knew Van der Ven was playing, right? Because that already gives you kind of deep down a little bit of comfort knowing that you've got that little bit of pace at the back who can help clear things up. And hopefully we've got someone up top who can put the ball in the net. But interestingly enough, and I don't know if Will can back me up on like these stats, it purely looked like the game we scored 4 goals in. Obviously, Solanke wasn't there. The first game we still had 20-odd shots, and he pretty much played the whole game. So, you know, he didn't take his chances, as I've kind of heard that, you know, he's going to be the one to finish off all his chances, and when Solanke comes back, it'll be different. But maybe it was his first game, and it was you know, wherever it was. But there's 20 odd shots, and there was, as I was saying, there was only 10 in Everton's game, and Sonny got 2. So.
But those are balls that were played in behind Hassan on the run, right? So they were almost counter attacks from us, right? They weren't us building up play and putting balls across the face of goal. In fact, and even in the Everton game, I think there was one time when Son probably should have made a run to the far post and didn't, and could have had probably a third if he had done a little bit better. But I mean, the chances are there. The chances were there against. We should have had at least 2 or 3 goals against Newcastle. Probably should have had 6 against Everton, and probably should have had 4 in the first half against Ipswich. So,
and I think
Leicester, rather.
That's pretty much where everyone's, I think, unanimous on, is the fact that those kind of like wide players are just not up to the quality, right? Like Odebert, I think I've only seen 1 game so far, and he looks lively, right? But he's raw. He's a young kid, and that's not.
Yeah, I mean, he's
in a way,
19, 18.
He would be fabulous if we could have him as our finisher of a game or something like that. So you have someone established on that side, and then he comes on last 15, 20 minutes or something like that, and gets that growth into the squad and into the first team. But
so, JP, so what do you think? Did you see Spurs winning, draw, losing? How do you feel? I know it's hard to predict because we don't know the squad.
I would kind of, heart says obviously I think we could nick it, but reality probably says it's a draw.
That's what Maz. I think Maz was saying that. Lee, you're lucky you got to hear everyone talk, so you've got plenty of time to analyse it all.
Yeah, what they said.
do you know what? I'm just trying to
And copy us.
get it into my head and analyze watching Eze with the ball at his feet. Why we've not slapped down the money for this guy? It makes me cry myself to sleep at night. But anyway,
Because he's actually good.
I know, yeah, because he's actually good. Listen, I again, my opinion. This is just what I think. I think it's really simple again for the North London derby. Irrelevant of whether Odegaard and Rice are playing, we need to respect Arsenal and the team that they are. You know that they always show up a lot of the time against us. I think at home we are expected to have more of the possession. We 100% need to be more clinical. That's the issue. We're not going to get as many shots as we did as Newcastle, so we need to be more clinical if we're going to get those goals. But also we need to stop getting turned over. That's one of our biggest problems. The transition from being turned over into their attack. Now I said, and Strasbourg Steve agreed with me as well when we talked about the Newcastle game. Isak and Gordon were just not on it in the Newcastle game. If they were at their absolute 100% best, I think that was more than a 2-0 loss, a 2-1 loss. Sorry. So we've got to respect Arsenal. They're going to be on it. They're going to be up for it at our place. If we get turned over and the high line, etc., I think they're going to be more clinical. So I think we've got to respect them. I think we need to tweak it. I would hope that he would have the same kind of respect he did at Man City last year, where he dropped the high line, say 10 yards, and it made a massive difference. And it also stops the compactness and stops it being so congested in the middle as well. So if he does those things and we're more clinical, then I don't see why we can't get a result. But if we stick to the way we are and stick to our guns in the terms of the way that we're setting up, etc., I think that they will, potentially they'll sit back, but I think they'll harm us. I really do think they'll harm us. The only one thing that I will say is, though, I think we've definitely got better from set pieces. I don't think it's as bad as it was last year. I think he's acknowledged that and seen it, because we're not conceding as many from set pieces, which is good. But we've got to respect them. They're going to have a better front line than Newcastle did on their day. So we've got to be clinical.
Who's their front line at the moment? It's Saka, Havertz,
it's going to be
Martinelli.
Saka. It'll have to be. Martinelli's fit, I assume. Yeah.
Trossard tends not to play well when he starts. He seems to do well when he comes off the bench.
I think Trossard will end up playing in the midfield, but
I think Jesus is back. By the way, I think Jesus is back for them.
They've just got strength in depth, haven't they? I don't think they lose, despite the names that we're seeing. I don't feel they're losing as much as what we think.
No, and do you know what? The one thing
Odegaard and Rice are their two best midfielders, in my opinion. I think that's their two best midfielders.
Yeah, it is. No, you're probably right. The one thing that I thought straight away from the first couple of games is I would rather. I know we've seen the news about Basuma being potentially injured. And do you know what? I just really don't care. I'm getting frustrated with the guy that every time I see him on the ball, I know he's got the ability to do it, but it's worrying me and frustrating me the fact that he ponders on the ball too much. He allows the pressure to come to him.
Who's Basuma?
Basuma, yeah.
I think he's injured, Lee. I think he's out.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. But it's a major injury blow. But to be honest with you, I'd rather not watch him again week in, week out, where he's just it's strange. He gets the ball and he trots along and he's like, no, that's right, I can keep this ball, and then there's almost this second you think, oh my god, we're going to lose possession here, and I'd rather just see someone that's going to play the balls rather than worry about getting it taken off it and getting us turned over. That's what our biggest issue is.
On the Newcastle game, Basuma was just walking around the pitch.
I know. Honestly, it's driving me nuts.
He played well
a couple of times. He almost lost the ball.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
Everton, he played well. He didn't play the first game, but
against the bottom 10 teams, a lot of our players seem to play well. It's when we play the top 10, they all go missing.
I think one key thing I'd say is kind of us around here sitting here. We were saying earlier, we know how to beat Tottenham, right? You drop back, you kind of suffocate the box, hit us on the break with a long ball over the top. I don't see Arsenal doing that. I think Arsenal will play their normal football and they'll be quite open at the back.
Do you know what?
Even though
I
you
totally,
Gabriel, what's his name?
JP, I totally forgot they signed Raheem Sterling. I totally forgot about that. He always does well against us, that boy.
Yeah, but he's about 90 now. He's about 90 now, isn't he?
Listen, if there's
Doesn't
a team,
matter. He's still good. He's still good.
Find you. I personally think this game. I think we're the favourites. I'll tell you now. I think we're the favourites. And the reason I say it, and I said the same thing about the Newcastle game before it. I said we'll beat Newcastle, but if Van der Ven's out, I'm worried. And we were the better team against Newcastle. We had them pinned him. We created chances. Okay, not necessarily
bar the first 20 minutes.
Chances. Yeah, okay. We were up there. Newcastle crowd gets behind them. They started quick. Once we settled, it was all Tottenham for me, and I thought we were a far better team. And I think it's going to be the same against Newcastle. I'm telling you, I think it's going to be exactly the same. But my issue is this: they are much better at defending than Newcastle, so I don't think we're going to get as many good chances. And I think the ones we do get, I'm just not convinced we're going to take them because I don't think he's going to start Son in the striker role. And I think if Son doesn't play as the 10, who's scoring the goals? So I think he'll start Son out left. I don't know if Solanke's fit, will put him in the striker role. I'm not convinced them two can work together because I don't think it helps them.
It seems like Decky played there on.
Yeah, Decky. So that was the problem.
I wouldn't play him there either.
Kulusevski as a striker was absolutely horrible. I think part of the loss to Newcastle was Ange Postecoglou. The starting 11 was the complete wrong thing, and when he made the switch to go back to the team that did really well against Everton, the game immediately shifted and changed. I don't think that Papamatta Sarr's had a good start to the season. I think he's been giving the ball away quite a bit. Hasn't been playing as defensively solid as he has in the past, and I think Kulusevski in that 8 role has been a lot better than Papamatta Sarr. So if we don't start, I think Kulusevski makes Partey look like an absolute fool if he plays on that right-handed 8. He's as strong as Partey. He's better on the ball. Has more control than Thomas Partey does. I think he'll spin. I think he'll literally make Thomas Partey fall to the ground if he starts in that 8 role. If you put Papamatta Sarr there, I think we'll have problems.
Well, I totally agree with you, Will. I've been saying for certainly this season that we lose a lot when Cooley doesn't play because he's so physical and he never stops fighting. He's always causing the defenders and midfielders trouble. He does have the ability to beat a player and turn and do something. It's just his end product that we've got an issue with, really.
Yeah, and that's why playing in the 8, we don't have to worry about his end product because that's not what his game. Like all the best aspects of his game shine when he plays in that 8.
Precisely. Yeah, precisely.
Yeah. I honestly think we're going to dominate Arsenal, and you know what? They do have a better defense, which is why I don't think we'll have as many chances. But I've not been impressed by Saliba and Gabriel to the start of this season. Go look at the goal Brighton scored. Gabriel and Saliba. Gabriel completely fell asleep, and Saliba got caught napping. So I think we will get chances. I'm just not confident we'll take them. Maybe we'll take one. But I think for as many as we create and as much dominance as we have, we've got those 2 dumbass moments in us and we'll get punished for it. I think we're going to come out of this game feeling worse than Newcastle, although I don't think we'll lose. I think it'll be a draw. I think this will be 2-2. We'll come out of it saying, how the hell have we not won that game? And what's going to happen is this. You're going to have half the fan base saying progress, improvement, we're playing better. Last year, Arsenal battered us. And the other half are going to say, we don't care. We're not putting points on the board. This doesn't work. And we're going to be split. And we're going to be split over the end after the game.
I think
that's what I think will happen.
The key to getting anything Sunday, I think, is whether Solanke plays. I mean, I spoke to somebody who knows plenty of ex-professionals because he's in the game, and he said the ex-professionals he has spoken to rate Solanke very, very highly. Very highly. You look at his stats. I mean, again, funny enough, I was watching the aftermatch last night, just catching up on Leicester Spurs and watching what Neville and Carragher were talking about with Tottenham. And they had Solanke's stats on for pressing and tackling and winning balls, etc. He was number 1 on virtually all of them for Premier League centre forwards last season. I mean, Iriola did a fantastic job with him at Bournemouth last season. And if he carries on like that this year, he's going to score a hatful. And, we may well have a better season than all of us are actually thinking we will do because of Solanke. He's brought in to score goals. He scored 19 in 38.
Do you know what? I disagree with this a bit. I'll tell you why. Because I don't think Son can play left. I think his days there are done. He doesn't have good games. The fan base turns against him. It's a shit show amongst the fan base when it comes to Son whenever he plays left.
No, I'm talking about Solanke still.
I know, but the problem is Son's our top scorer. So by playing Solanke in that striker role, you're effectively killing off our top scorer, which is Son.
But Son is not centre forward, is he?
He's our top scorer, though, Ian. That's my point. Let me re-explain this. I don't think Son and Solanke works in a front three at Spurs. So if you play Solanke, right, he'll get you 15, 20 goals. Brilliant. But you've just lost the 17 goals that Son gives you. So you're back to square one. Right, so play Son as well. Well, where do you play him? He can only play in the 10 role, which now means you've got to move Solanke wide. He's not good there. I think we've got this wrong. We should have either sold Son and brought in a top-level replacement for the wide area, or Son needs to play as the striker because I just don't think he can play out wide anymore.
But in the Leicester game, who put the best three balls across the face of goal in the first half?
Your answer is 3 at the back, 2 wing backs, and Sonny playing next to Solanke.
Right, in the front two, yeah?
Front two. I'd play a front two.
Yeah.
3 at the back, 5 across the middle.
100%. Ange isn't going to do that.
No.
This manager will not do that. He's going to force Son out left and kill him. And when he does play him in the number 10 role, you've now got £120 million worth of strikers that we've signed on the bench doing nothing. I think we've got this wrong as a club, the way we've done this.
Why do you think Son's had it on the left? Out of interest.
Because I think as he's got older, JP, he's evolved into a different player. Like the Son we know is the one that got the ball, beat 1, beat 2, cut in world-class strikes or brilliant assists. I just don't think he's that player. I think he's better off running down the middle, receiving a pass, 1-2 touch back of the net. He's less touches.
We don't play that style of football anymore.
No, I just think that as you get older, your game changes. Like Rooney changed. Like for me, Son, back in the day, I would want Son to take 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 touches on the ball because I know it would work. Now I want him to have minimal touches, but those touches are clinical touches now. Like,
I just think as he's aged, he's more reserved, right? He's smarter. He's wiser.
Maybe.
I just think he's more reserved.
Because a lot
of people said his legs have gone, but that's not true. He's literally the fastest player over 30 in the Premier League. That's a fact. People can go see that.
Will, do you guys kind of agree though? He's not a wide winger type player anymore. That's not the
So I think he's still a wide winger as far as if you're looking at creativity. Because watching him in the Leicester game in the first half, before he ended up moving a little bit more centrally, was those 3 balls that were played across the box from him.
Fans blasted Son for that game, Will. They blasted him.
Yeah, but fans blasted Son when he was winning Golden Boot. So that's just a normal thing that they do, right? I mean that's been my whole history on YouTube is making fools of all the idiots that say Son can't play when he actually does. But Son hasn't had a bad game this season. He hasn't. He's actually been our best, most consistent and best player in the squad this whole season.
I don't think he was good against Leicester. I don't think it was that good. And I thought for when Son was out wide against Newcastle, I thought it was a waste of time. Absolute waste of time.
Well, yeah, because Kulusevski was absolutely horrible playing that striker role. Couldn't hold the ball up, right? So this was the problem. When Son first started playing striker, he had a hard time holding the ball up. Yeah. But you could see the huge difference between him holding the ball up in the second half against Newcastle, than Kulu being able to hold the ball up in the first half against Newcastle. Huge difference. Son, there were balls that Son played in that striker role against Newcastle that looked almost exactly like Harry Kane, where he's facing away from his goal and takes that half corner pass and over basically across his body to the opposite side of the field and lands at the feet of Odegaard or whoever's playing that left hand side and running through. I just think people expect Son to come out and score 2 goals every day, which is unrealistic. No striker in the league does that, not even Haaland. So
I agree with Ian.
feel,
Two
I
up
just
top is
think,
the best thing for us. Sorry, go on,
I
JP.
just
Sorry.
think, no, I was going to say, I just think right now, and the way Postecoglou plays football, you like to see Sonny running onto the ball, one-on-one with the keeper, bang, slots it, cutting in from the edge of the box, having one of his curling shots. And that's the glory of him. But I think the way we've got wing backs in there, we've got there's about 30 people kind of like in that area. I think he's also getting stifled kind of like to an extent out wide, but or playing as the other forward, like the left side forward. And when he is in the middle, again, he's not really a hold up person kind of like for the ball. But when he gets opportunities, he's clinical, and he's the only clinical person we've got out of all of those forwards. For the most part.
I just think that this is the worst group of wingers that this club has had. Bar Son since I've been supporting Tottenham.
And we've had about 500.
Yeah, I mean, Lucas Moura. I would do anything to have Lucas Moura back right now. I'm not even lying. Lucas Moura was way better in that position than Kulusevski, Johnson, or Timo Werner has been over the last season and a half. Orderbear is yet to be seen. I mean, I've only seen him play he hasn't even played a full 90 minutes yet. But
I gave up when he missed
the
2 yards out against Newcastle. Like, if you can't score that,
is that the one where you should have headed it?
Yeah. Or just use his chest.
I'm not being funny, but week in, week out now, it's the same old story, right? Who's it going to be next week? No. Listen, who's it going to be next week?
I agree. That's what I'm laughing.
Where we find another player that's stifled by these tactics, right? Every week we find something. First off, it's Maddison, and we can't be a number 10 because he's stifled by his tactics. It doesn't give enough space. Now it's Son. Oh, Son's better when he's running off the ball, running at defenders, running into space. We don't have space. We have this really compact in front of the opponent's box, and no one's really showing their talents. My personally, Solanke. I think I've been slightly different than everyone else, where everyone else has been going, oh, he's had one good season before that, he's been crap, blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, he's coming off a 19 goal season at Bournemouth. He had a good season last season. His confidence is up, etc., etc. Never missed a game. He's been here once, and he's injured already. It seems to be the Tottenham curse. But when I watched that first game, I was more worried over the amount of minutes we were on his pitch that our system stifled him, rather than some of the chances he had to create himself, not the way that our system created the chances for him. And I think that's what we've got to change. I'm still massively can't work out why we're not putting more crosses into the box when we got the Rich Charlison and Solanke in there, which are both good with their heads. When that was the whole point of Postecoglou's system when he was at Celtic, everyone was going, "Oh yeah, the number 10 gets on the edge of the box and it's like a diagonal ball across to the far post, and your strikers come in, use that." We don't seem to do that.
We do
seem
that.
to just want to walk the ball. We do, but when we do, something comes of it. Like
what we do is we put the ball in the box,
and then it's a low drive across. But the
players that cross it don't look to see who they're crossing it to, and they just smash it into empty blades of grass.
Well, like Johnson.
Which goes back to we don't have good wingers. We don't have those good players.
Still, if you had Kane in the box, those balls that flashed across Newcastle's area last week would have been in the back of the net.
100%. No team in the league has put more crosses into the penalty area than Tottenham Hotspur this season.
But hold on. So don't cross the ball then if Kane's not there. Maz,
hang on. Is it Johnson's responsibility? Hang on.
Maz, take care. Thanks for coming on.
Please, Maz. Is it Johnson's told to go round, get past the fullback and whip the ball in? That's his job. It's not his responsibility for Son to be hanging about on the edge of the box when he should be sprinting in. Now we saw Sonny against Everton keep up with Van der Ven for the fourth goal. Yeah. There's no excuse for him not to hit that 6-yard box with a sprint and put those crosses into the back of the net. That's his job.
Can I just say one?
So JP, I want to understand this. So you're saying Johnson's doing the right thing?
That's how Ange wants Johnson to play. get
Right.
outside and whip the ball into the 6-yard box.
Then
That's his main
Ange,
tactic still.
okay, then Ange
We
needs
don't
to
play
step
high
down.
balls into the
No,
box,
okay.
do we?
Then for me, Ange needs to step down as manager of this club. He's not fit for purpose, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you if this is where we're going to go with it. When you coach players from a young age, right? From a young age, you always say to them, "Look up." Right? Okay. When you tell the little ones look up, they do this. So you've got to change your wording, right? You know, where's your teammates? Find someone wearing the same top when you pass the ball. As they get older, they become teenagers. They know that what look up means. So as they get older, they now know look up means have a look where your team are. Why does every coach around the world teach players to look up? It's so they know where their teammates are, so they know where we're positioned and where you're passing the ball. So if Brennan Johnson isn't looking up, he shouldn't be anywhere near this club. But he does know to look up because he would never made it as a professional football player. So if he's looking up and not passing to a teammate, he's just shit, or Ange does not get basic coaching. Every player is taught to look up for a reason. How is it failing with Brennan Johnson? Mate, and the thing is, if you look up and no one's there, if the coach is overriding the player and saying, I don't care, still put it there, like I said, then the coaches need to step down. If Brennan Johnson was a good player, forget even quality, just good, and he looks up and there's no one there, then he either takes a shot, takes on a man, or squares it back to a Spurs shirt. And I'm just talking from a coaching perspective. Otherwise, why do we teach players to look up? For what reason?
But for me, I just think it's Brendan Johnson's a bad player, right? For example, Pedro Porro, when he puts balls in from the right corner of the 18-yard box, he looks up and he puts it on a 10 pence, right? Like, I mean, it's literally on spot all the time. Balls are hitting guys in the back of the head and going into the back of the net when Pedro Porro puts a ball into the box.
He does have more time though, Will. He does have
we
more
don't do
time
enough
on the
of, Will.
ball.
That's my argument. That's what Postecoglou at Celtic. That's what they were doing. Porro from that side and Maddison from the other side, whipping those balls across from the edge of the 18-yard box to the opposite side.
To the penalty box.
You know, we did it.
It's like a diagonal ball to the back post, isn't it?
Yeah,
like
exactly. What we seem to do is try and get it to the byline, and as you've put it a million times, still, you're doing a knee-high cross, which isn't beating anyone. You know, use it. If we did more of that, there's an argument to say, well, Richarlison's one of the best players for that, right? He's great with his head. You know, put those type of balls in the box, and he's going to get chances. I think that's the same as Solanke. Yeah, well, yeah.
I mean,
but,
one thing
I'm not writing Solanke off yet. I'm saying I need to see more that he works in the system that Ange is telling them, the way that the wingers are working. Again, it could be the system, it could be the wingers are crap, but that we've got to supply him. We can't just write him off and go, well, he hasn't scored enough because X, Y, and Z. If we don't supply him, he's not going to score. So, I'm still confused about this season.
I just think
games
if you're
in,
a professional football player, you should never release the ball unless you can see where you're shooting it or who you're passing it to. If you're just
correct. It's the responsibility of the man on the ball to make sure that the pass goes accurately to a teammate. But if you're told to get round your fullback and whip the ball in, and that's what he's being told, then surely the centre forward's there's got to be someone coming into the box.
The manager's out of his mind,
taking a chance, getting across the centre back, and putting those balls in. That's how he plays. Look at the goals we score. Richarlison, half his goals last year came from Johnson down the right.
Ian, I agree with you. But my point is, if the striker hasn't made the run, you don't play that ball.
I just want to say, in that scenario, I'm pretty sure Son ran in, stopped because he was waiting for the cutback, and he obviously crossed it in. So I think that's why Son wasn't in on the end of it.
Yeah, and Son was in probably about 7 yards of open space right on the penalty spot, exactly where Barn is, and he puts that away 9 out of 10 times. That's the problem. Brendan Johnson's not lifting his head and looking.
Do you know what?
If that's Bernardo Silva, Bernardo Silva's not just smashing it across the box with his right
Exactly,
foot,
he's
is
finding
it? He's
Son.
stopping the ball, he's looking up, and he's trying to find a player.
And that's why I don't even know if because I haven't been paying that much of attention to Manor Solomon, but when Manor Solomon played in the first half of last season, he got his 4 assists from doing exactly that, lifting his head up and playing a cutback to Son in open space on the penalty spot. And that's why Son scored so many goals as soon as he switched to striker after the first 3 games, was his partnership with Manor Solomon. We just need a winger that's able to find Son if he's holding his run at the center spot, because I'm telling you, that is a higher. You will score more goals from cutbacks to the penalty spot than you ever will from just lobbing balls knee height across the face of goal.
The thing is, when Ange first came to Spurs and he had that pre-season, that's what we were doing all pre-season. I remember those first 3 or 4
back,
games.
James Madison back to Son.
Yeah, Kulu was doing
Manor
it.
Solomon back to Son. Kulu back to Son.
Well, you look at Madison at the Emirates last year to Son. Was it Madison to not Madison?
From the byline. He ducked Saka, turned, played from the byline, hit Son on the penalty spot.
Someone cut back to Johnson, and Ray made the save as well.
Yeah, Sonny at Palace last year as well. Same thing. Second goal was fantastic. But
I just think Johnson is just not good, and he knows it, and his confidence has gone because of it. Because one thing you do as a coach, you never coach success. Even if you say to players do A, B, C, if they do X, Y, Z and score, you can't coach that, because the aim of the game is to score. That's success. So if Johnson overrode the manager's instruction and said, "Well, I'm not going to cross it because there's no one there," squared it back to Son, and let's say Son scores, Ange can't say shit. Ange cannot coach that. He has to say, "Do you know what?
I don't think Ange cares. In fact, I think Ange knows that his wingers aren't good, because there's no reason why he plays Kulusevski as striker if he trusted the left wingers that he has in his options over Son playing striker. Like, anyone with half a brain cell knows that Son's going to play striker better than Kulusevski is, right? Yeah. So why put Son out on the left if you trust the guys that you have to play in that position? Well, the fact is, he doesn't.
Problem you've got, Will, is that Son can't hold the ball up. He loses the ball every time the ball's played up to him in the centre forward position. That won't happen with Solanke. What I would do Sunday, I'd change it a fraction. If Solanke's fit, I would play Son on one side, and I would play Werner for his pace on the other.
No way.
Odegaard will be lost. Odegaard will be lost, and Johnson's not playing well enough. The other thing about Johnson is that he's not a right winger. He's a centre forward or a striker. He's been played out of position since he joined the club. So again, there was no thought regarding the transfer strategy. You know, you've got to buy players. You've got to have a plan to bring players in. Steve Cooper said at Forest, Johnson's position is centre forward. That is his best position. He's being played right, and his form is suffering. You know, and everyone's piling onto him because he's not doing it. But he's not a right winger.
How many players do we do that with, Ian? We buy players and then
there's no thought. There's just no thought. And Johnson was Ange's man, I was told. He had to have Johnson, and it probably killed Levy, because Johnson was going to Brentford, or could have gone to Brentford for 35 million. And
more at the last minute or something.
And then he paid an extra 12.5 million in August. So that must have killed him. So Ange was determined that Johnson joined, and he paid 47.5 million. And
he obviously had this picture in his mind, Ian, to play him on that side.
The guy's not a right. He's not a right winger. You know, if you look at the goal he got against Wolves last season in 3 minutes, up there, ball was whipped in, he cuts across, he's in the 6-yard box, bang, it's in the back of the net, no sweat. And you looked at that and you thought to yourself, I can see why Steve Cooper thinks he's a centre forward, or more of a central strike. Sorry, not a centre forward. Solanke's a centre forward, more of a central striker.
Yeah, the more and more I listen to the stories coming out from players about, coming into Tottenham and all that kind of stuff, I'm getting this picture more that he picks his players based on their personality and their wanting to come to Spurs than their actual skill and what they can bring to it. Because one interesting thing that I heard from I don't know if everyone else watches this, but James Maddison was on another YouTube channel around golf, because obviously he's a big golfer. And I won't say the name, just X, Y, and Z. I don't want to put other channels on there in case I can't. But interestingly enough, what Maddison said is that he's a really nice guy, but he keeps the relationships between him and his players are very much manager and player. He doesn't have social relationships like other
He
managers
did
do.
say that, didn't he? He said
He
that.
basically also said that you will never see Ange in the training facilities other than when they go out on the pitch. He doesn't go into the training rooms, into the fitness suites, etc., etc. And he doesn't individually necessarily talk to players. It's all about his system. It's all about him and his system and playing in that system. That's what he's coaching. He's not coaching individuals. And this is one of the reasons why we've been harping on about the youngsters and the fact that they're not going to play, etc., etc. Now 90% of them have gone out on loan. Is because he doesn't coach players. He coaches a group to play his system. And that's it. That's as simple as it gets. So I'm not necessarily sure we're buying these players based on the requirements of their individual skill and abilities more than we are that they're wanting to come to Spurs and the personality wise. It's a really strange. You know, we have a lot of Australian fans and that say that Ange is a great coach. He coaches his players and stuff like that. Then we're getting the actual players say, no, he doesn't coach individuals. He's not like that. He never tells me I'm great. I just know I know I'm great because he doesn't tell me otherwise or something. It's a really, really strange philosophy
Lee,
to have. But
let's move into something, because you just said that, right? Let's move into something. So I want to move into the Levy David Pleat news. Now,
That's unbelievable.
David Pleat's written a book, Just One More Goal. I highly urge any Spurs fan to go out and buy this. The proceeds go to the charity related to David Pleat's late wife's illness. So definitely a good cause. And also, no doubt, if you're a Spurs fan, it'd be a really good read.
Yeah, good read, yeah.
But within the book itself, there's a quote. Daniel Levy called me in and said, "You know it's all data-driven now. We don't need eyes and ears. What a nonsense." Now, that links to what you... Well, does it link to what you say, Lee, where are we buying players for the system? Are we playing it because of ability? Because if it is all data-driven, then either... See, I think Levy's lying and he's just using it as an excuse. Because if that was the case, we wouldn't have scouts. We wouldn't have video replay. Because you have to watch the players at some point.
Well, you just have an AI model, wouldn't you? That you just tap it in and go and find me those players. Boom.
Yeah, but you narrow it down, though, don't you, with the stats and the data kind of driven.
Yeah, but at that point, though, you say, right, we've got 20 players.
The 10 players we've narrowed it down to.
Yeah, scouts go have a look. But at the same time, scouts will be watching games. A player might catch their eye and they say to the club, "You might want to have a look at this player. Here's my report. Have a look at this guy. I know he's not on our radar, but I'm telling you, put him on the radar."
And that happens a lot, doesn't it? You hear, they go to watch one player and then suddenly they see a defender or something like that who seems to have the attributes and is quick and wins headers and stuff like that. And because didn't we have that with Dawson? Because we bought Dawson and what's his name, that Reed, right?
But that's how we got Dele Alli. This is how we signed Dele Alli.
Because Dawson came as part of, what was his name? Stephen Reed? No.
Andy Reid.
Andy Reid. Because he was the flair player that we bought, and Dawson came along at the same time. But that's probably where somebody's gone and watched them and said, "Oh, do you know what? He's not so bad."
The thing is, JP, the more and more the sport becomes about producing athletes as well as football players, then the more and more data is important. We can't see. I hate it when people say stats are shit. Dismiss the stats. That's just a nonsense. Data is very important, especially with the way it's become a science now. Sport is more and more scientifical, but at the same time, we can't just say, right, now the eyeballs mean nothing. No. I think Will said it a few times. You got to do both. Both apply. But if we're just going down one route, which is just pure data, then we're going to start signing. We're going to end up with a lot of donkeys at the club, as well as a couple of good signings.
I would like to think what they do is they probably, out of all of the players around Europe or whatever it is, they probably look at the data, narrow it down to the top 5, then have a look at how much a club would want for them, narrow it down to kind of like the bottom 3, and then at some point someone must look at it. It sounds as if they don't actually go out like your David Pleat would go out and watch a game, watch 2-3 games, like without anyone knowing that he was there, kind of thing, and like pick up things because he's got that eye, he's got that knowledge, he's got that kind of experience, stuff like that.
He's coached players, he's developed players, he's managed football teams.
Yeah, exactly. And like you probably 3 or 4 people who sit down and watch videos of these 3 players, and you can't actually see anything from a video. You can. He's running. He's made a good run or whatever, but kind of you must need to watch them in a game, what they do off the ball and on the ball and things like that, which I don't think you probably get from a video screen.
No, you don't.
Well, let's take Odebear as an example, right? You stick a data model in, you're saying you're looking for a young left winger whose main attribute is to take on a player, right? And his successful take on of players is 87% in the top 87 percentile or something of that nature. But then, so you purchase him on that basis, but then you go, right, yeah, exactly like I was saying. It's like, I think it was a breath of fresh air. It's nice to see him trying to take on a player, take on his man, etc., etc. But there's no end product, right? There's nothing after that. Then the data is, that's where you've got to use your eyes. The data's telling you one thing. Yeah, exactly. Data's telling you one thing. So it has to be a massive amount of attributes to that data to give you what you're actually looking for. So the whole data thing at Tottenham is still not set in stone, because as far as I know, as of a month or 6 weeks ago, they're still hiring 3 data analysts, which is making up the data analyst team.
So we
still
data
haven't got.
We have are garbage, because like in the scenario that you had, if you simply plugged in the metric of have a goal to shot on target ratio within 20% of Heung-min Son, that fixes your problem if he can't finish.
But
it's just a matter of plugging in the right numbers for the model to pop out the person that you need.
Even though you look at the data which says he's made these runs and he's done that, there must also be a stat on the end result.
Yeah, there is. Goals to shots on target, goals to shots.
As long as we're looking at the right data, yeah. As long as the model's correct.
Well, look, David Pleat kind of called out Levy on that. I do want to go for the rest of Pleat's quotes because this is quite shocking, some of this. And we are a channel that doesn't ignore it, right? I know many will be shy to talk about it because it puts the club in bad light, but we just say it as it is. David Pleat's wife, Maureen, who died in 2020, fighting against motor neurone disease. Part of the profits from his book are being donated to the charities to try and seek a cure. And Pleat was quoted as saying, "I'm not expecting it to be a fortune, but every little helps fighting that horrible disease. Not that there will be any copies available in the club shop. They're not selling it in the club shop because it's something to do with the book not being published using the club's official publisher. I asked Daniel if I could have a room there to launch it and do a presentation. He'd said he'd get back to me. I've not heard anything." It's funny because Arsenal gave Bob Wilson a seat for life. They're a classy club, Arsenal. That's a real dig at the club. Now he's taking a real punch at Levy. That's an uppercut. And then he says, "Me, I was told I can get a ticket at Spurs subject to availability." So all these times that we bash the club for the way we don't have statues, they don't name the stand after our greats, the way that they just mistreat the fans, the way they've just told all the senior citizens to go screw themselves. You've now got, quite a significant man from within the club and from our history coming out and saying that. Ian, I want to come to you first on this because I know you've got a fair bit to say. But for me, I can't stand Levy. I want him out. I get all sorts of hate for it. But when you see something like that coming from David Pleat, how do you feel about that? How does that make you feel as a Spurs fan?
Let's take football out of the equation. Let's talk about treating people properly, with respect, treating people nicely. This doesn't surprise me. You've got the way the senior citizens were treated, have been treated, for a few quid. You've got even, when it came to talking about and discussing the ticket price increases this season, the fan advisory board weren't even consulted. You've got this here now, and I just go back to my question to him at the AGM about 16 years ago, when I asked him to justify a 57.6% season ticket increase that I had for my seat. I explained that I was been following the club since 65, first game, 69 home games regularly from 72, Europe from 74, shareholder, season ticket holder since 82. I followed Tottenham, a lot of my friends joke, my wife jokes that, just like Charles thought there were three in his marriage, or Diana thought there was three in the marriage with Camilla. My wife joked that there were three in the marriage with Tottenham Hotspur. And his answer to me was, when I questioned him about the season ticket increase, it's a privilege for you to come and see your team. This shows for me his total contempt for the fans. The man doesn't give a shit about us. To me, I think he hates the fans. Just doesn't care about anybody but himself. There's no interest in the first team for trophies. It's only about profit. It's only about him. I'm sorry. This is, he never fails to disappoint. This was a perfect opportunity for good PR for the club. What's all this about? If Pleat's not getting his book published by the club publisher, since when was there an exclusivity situation for all the books? Be interesting if someone has the time to go into the Spurs shop and check who the publishers are for all the books that are in there. I'm sure they'll find that not every single book has been there's not a theme where there's one publisher. And for someone like David Pleat, who has given a lot of his footballing career over to Tottenham Hotspur, we watched fantastic football in '87. How that team didn't win a trophy that year, God only knows. He's worked for the club for donkey's years. He's been like an ambassador. He's been a scout. He's just a nice guy. He's just, and how Levy can treat him in this way is just staggering. And I'll just give you another personal experience. This fans forum that's on the 23rd with Levy and the two managers and the two captains, that one. I've not even had the courtesy of a reply. Nothing. Not even really sorry you haven't made it. Nothing.
Ian, can I, is there any of you here?
Soulless.
But do any of you here even think that fan forum is even worse? Anyone's time. They're going to pre-select the audience. They're going to pre-vet the questions. They're not going to have any difficult questions like why didn't you print? Why won't you allow David Pleat to sell his book in the club shop for at least one game? Where are our statues? Can you please explain why we never signed Eze? Why we never signed players of high caliber this summer when we're desperate? No one's going to ask that. No one's going to ask those questions. It's all going to be... So, Daniel, we're really improving under Ange Postecoglou. You must be really proud now. We've got our Tottenham back, right? It's going to be questions like that, isn't it?
At what point do all the Levy-in fans actually look at this David Pleat situation and think, this is just wrong on so many different levels in terms of how you treat people as a human being, as an employee? It's just wrong. It's appalling. He doesn't care. He just doesn't.
Are we at a stage now where Daniel Levy, literally every little thing is about business because he can't make money from this book? No, he didn't use our publisher.
He can't make money from it, and he's in the shots that have been taken towards him in it means he doesn't want to allow him to sell it. I mean, it's pretty obvious why he's not allowing him to sell it.
Yeah.
Right. The recruitment shots is why it is. Daniel Levy doesn't like people talking bad about him.
Net spend of 38 million, I think, this transfer window, when you include the drop in wages. 38 million, I've been told.
Wow.
70 million less wages. When you look, when you consider Højbjerg will probably get 17, 20 million in at the end of this season. If you include that, there's been 70 million because you got, I think, Solanke 57, Odegaard will be 30 because the add-ons I don't think are too bad, and you got Archie Gray as well, which was 25 because you've got to take into account that Rodon went the other way as well, and the Bergvall and the Korean boy were, I think, 12 in total. So you knock off Højbjerg, Skip, and Emerson. I think you've got about a 70 million net, and then they've saved. I keep seeing things in print saying that he's saved 32 million, I think, in wages as well overall over the last 18 months when you include Lloris, Kane, Perisic, etc., etc.
And what about that 50 million we didn't spend?
We're meant to be a big club. This is meant to be a big club. That's right. When the Emirates went up, they had statues. They do things properly, Arsenal. Much as I hate to say it, you know, and for me, there's always been that rivalry. You know, the Cronkays were the same as ENIC, leading up to the leading up to the Super League situation. After that, Stan sent Josh across. He's been working virtually full-time in England, in London, at the club. Arsenal is the only sporting franchise that have not won their National League, I believe, that the Cronkays own. He is determined that situation will be put right. And they're going hell for leather. And they have backed Arteta to the hilt, even if it meant getting rid of players for no money and taking a financial hit on them. Arteta has been backed, and he's into his 5th season now. You know, and personally, I think they will win the league. I think they're good enough. I think they've been getting better and better for each of the 5 years he's been there. 2 years ago, they lost the league by, I think, 8 points. Last year, it was 2 points. And I think this will be their year. I think they've just got it right. Everybody I hear at Arsenal, they're all geared to success. Everybody's working, you know, for the good of the club.
I don't think Arsenal win the league this year, Ian. I don't think they do. I think this is a season they're going to actually experience what it's like to get a couple of injuries, though, like we did last year. And I also think them not buying that clinical forward or replacement cover for Odegaard. Yeah, I think they did. I think they do. I think they'll come second or third again.
Yeah.
I think City. Do you know what? I watched City against West Ham the other day. Jesus Christ, man, they were so good. Do you know that? Just watching them play, I'm like, whoa, this lot good. But then again, maybe a couple of injuries to City. I don't know. We'll see. But look, going back to these comments, guys, about, you know, what David Pleat has to say about Daniel Levy and what, you know, his kind of experiences at Spurs. Do any of you want to add anything to this on top of what Ian's already said?
I think it just makes me sad, embarrassed, and disgusted that my football club acts like that. That's it, really. It's just painful to see and read something like that. And they'll give him a ticket based on availability if he wants to come to a game. That's taking the piss, literally.
Do you know? I won't mention his name. We had an ex-Spurs player on the channel in the first 6 months we launched. He came on our channel.
Yeah.
I won't mention it because I don't want him to get into trouble, because he spoke to us backstage. Anyway, and then after the show, he said to us, you know, I asked him some questions about Daniel Levy, and he politically gave me the answer of his time's almost up if he doesn't sort it out in the next 2-3 years. And we're at that point now. Okay. We've got to win, otherwise he's lost everyone. And when I asked him about, you know, what do you think about the statues not being at the club and not naming the stands after ex-players or managers, he said to me that as ex-players, they used to get free access to certain lounge and certain privileges, and Levy's taken it all away from them. And they're really effed off with it, the way the ex-legends are treated within the club. So I think what Pleat is saying is the tip of the iceberg of what really goes on with all these ex-people at the club. Levy literally couldn't give a shit about the history of Tottenham. He couldn't give it. In fact, it's almost like he doesn't want anyone to know that we actually had a half-decent history.
Correct.
Guess what? We used to win then, yeah.
Yeah, because then there's
It'd be a
pressure.
bad reminder.
I feel sad. I said this on the show last time. Still, I feel cheated. I feel I've been cheated. You know, there have been very few highlights in the last 23 years since, you know, we had a couple of great years with Poch. A couple of years later, we had that run in the Champions League. We had a good season with Martin Yole and Carrick that was exciting. Second half of that season where we just missed out on the Champions League through Lasagna Gates. We had a nice run under Harry. There were some good games there. But, you know, in 23 years, 4 or 5 years maybe, out of 23. It's, you know, we're meant to be a big club. And I saw a comment on here before, one of the guys said, we're not a big club. I think we are a big club. We're not an elite club. The Liverpool, Man United, etc., they are elite clubs. We're a big club. You know, we went to Wembley. We got 85,000 for Monaco. You know, you're not a small club if you attract 85,000 for a game like that. And
Are we a big club or are we a big business?
Well, it's a business now, isn't it?
What do you guys think? Are we a big football club or are
great,
we a big,
great comment?
big business?
Still, great. The last one, great comment.
Which one's that?
The one back. Go back one. He's ripped part and soul out of the club. The club died with the old. I don't know if the club died with the old stadium. I think the club's been dying since they took over in 2001. I go further back.
Just put it this way, gents. Can you imagine if owners of United or Liverpool did the same thing to Ferguson, Dalglish, someone of that caliber? They'd have 66,000 fans escorting them out of the ground.
There'd be anarchy.
It just wouldn't happen.
Anarchy.
I thought it was really badly.
They'd be taking that place down brick by brick.
When they made that announcement about reducing the old age folks season ticket, and then also for people who need when they had a carer
as well, yeah.
They were taking that away. I thought that was absolutely outrageous, and there was meant to be a great big thing with people at one of the home games. I went there to go and stand with them all. It was literally a flag on the thing, and no one was there. And this is another thing, like you feel hurt that these guys have been watching football for the last God knows how many years, supporting our club, bringing the club to where it is, kind of thing now. How are we going to be treated in another 20 years? The same way?
If it doesn't work with Ange, I'm completely checking out of this football club until Levy's gone. 100% checking out, because it will never work under any manager. We've done the win now manager. We've done the relevant win now manager. We did the Pochettino way. Now we've got Ange ball. Forget it. After Ange, nothing works. Nothing works. In fact, I don't even think this is going to work. But, I'm happy to be proven wrong.
So what top manager would come?
But we haven't got a top manager now. So
they wouldn't.
No.
We haven't got
if Ange goes, when he goes, who will come and take over?
That's why we ended up with Nuno. Like, they went through trying to find someone. Do you remember before? It took like 60 days or whatever it was.
Yeah. Listen, Lexi, you're right. I did set after Conte. I talk shit sometimes. Maybe I'm talking shit. Maybe I'm talking shit now. I don't know. But I just don't see. I think I'm just waiting for the whole fan base to revolt. I think that's why I'm hanging around in the hope that the rest of the fans see it, and then can we do something now? I think that's it's not going to happen.
I've given up hope for that.
Do you know what I think it is? Still, I've been through. I as I say, I started following Spurs in late '60s properly, and I've seen the glory days at White Hart Lane, the glory nights. Seen, the Hoddles, Gascoignes, Klinsmans, Teddys, Ozzy, Villa, etc. You know, and a lot of
You're the
kids.
minority fan, though, Ian. Now I don't want to
I know,
disrespect you, but you're classed as the
I know.
minority fan now. Like modern
And
Spurs fans don't think like that. They think about
top
comfortable
four.
seats, Formula One,
Yeah,
revenue, spreadsheets, top four.
Beer from the bottom.
you know, I remember when I was, how was it, 14. I remember going with Spurs Supporters Club to Liverpool, the game at Anfield in March '72. It was Grand National Day, so the kickoff was at 11:30. We met at Warmington House on the High Road at 12 o'clock midnight. Got into Liverpool about 7. I remember having a great fry up for about 12, 15 pence a meal. Then we went in the grounds. I remember Jennings saved 2 penalties. It was the most fantastic day. And kids don't get, you know, they just don't get these sort of experiences. It's you know, Gaz's goal at Wembley in the semi-final, the Ricky Villa winning in '81. You know, and it's all about, you know, you go on Spaces or on Twitter or various podcasts, and people just want to talk about the finances. It's all about financials today. It's not about
Shocking.
financials.
It's shocking.
It's not about. It isn't about financials. You know, life is about making memories, and football is the same. And you look at the other big 5 clubs since ENIC have joined. The other big 5 clubs, they've had so many great nights and afternoons and memories and cup finals and European nights and winning leagues and trophies. We haven't had that. We've had 1 League Cup. You know, and you know, you look at we weren't a league championship winning team through the last part. You know, we've won the league twice in 142 years. But we were a cup team, and it was exciting, and we won things, and we had super players, and we went and bought. You know, Gascoigne was the best talent that anybody could buy. We bought him. We paid a club record 2.2 million. You know, these guys here, they charge the highest prices, I think, worldwide. I've been told in Europe, but you know, if you're going to charge fans the highest prices, you've got to put the best players on the pitch. Never a chance. You know, you wouldn't. You go to a 5-star Michelin restaurant, you expect the top food for the prices you're going to pay. We're just being slaughtered and conned all the way through.
Being fleeced left, right, centre.
Totally.
And that's why I find it really difficult in that everyone else is all right with it.
I don't get it. You know, the expectation. People don't understand the history. They just don't understand it. You know, the younger kids. Listen, I'm nearly 67, but kids are like, even kids of 30. They don't understand the history because they've never experienced it. They've never seen it.
Iggy was saying,
I'm sorry for them.
Iggy's got 2 boys. One of them was born in, I think, 2008, 2009. He's never seen Spurs do anything successful. Never seen Spurs do anything. He's coming up to 15 now, 16, I think. Never seen Spurs do anything successful. He's a Spurs fan, so you know they're growing up. They're growing up believing we're Spursy, believing that we don't win here, and that's why I think they accept it. And their parents,
isn't it?
They just want their kids to be happy, and if their kids get to go to Spurs or they get to buy a Spurs jersey, they're happy, right?
Do you know what? That's almost it, isn't it? Because if you end up getting rid of season ticket holders, and how many times have we said, you kind of almost want it to be a kind of like a day trip out, right? So it becomes I don't know, like an autumn park or kind of like something like that, right?
Entertainment venue.
Or park, something like that. So people are the happiness they'll get is just going to the stadium, spending money. That's it. One-off hits.
Yeah, that's how it feels when you go to the stadium at times. It feels that way.
So,
I want to listen. We always seem to bring it up at some point, some way, every week. But the thing is, when you've got ex-managers saying this, and you've got a fan forum coming up, how do we not talk about it? You know, they always give us something to have to take issue with. I want to bring up one last topic because we never got to speak about it last week, and that is. So the Europa Cup squad has been announced, and Jed Spence.
Yeah, what's
We've
all
kept
that?
him at the club.
4 goalkeepers.
A lot of people said he's doing well pre-season, right? A lot of people said he's doing well pre-season. Hasn't really featured in any games so far this season in the league. Yet the competition where we're going to play weaker teams, and everyone said, the kids will play in Europe, and all the kids have gone out on loan, including this boy here. He's gone out as well. Everyone said he's going to be part of Europa. No. By the way, can I say everything I said about the kids, all of it came true, and I got called out. You don't know anyone at Tottenham. You don't speak to the academy director. Oh yes, I do.
And Mikey Moore's still here, though, isn't he?
Because we can't let him out, dude. He's not hit the age threshold. He has to stay with us. Mikey Moore. I'll tell you what's going to happen with
I
him.
think he'll have a odd here and there.
He'll get 5 minutes if he's lucky. Otherwise, he'll end up playing for the under-21s all next season. They'll play him up an age group to develop him in the 21s, which they've already started doing.
He'll play still. He'll be the only one of the academy kids, I think, that plays.
I don't think he's going to play. I'm
He
telling
won't
you.
play in the league. I bet he won't play him in the league. But
He'll play in the
he'll
cups,
play-
lower level of the cups.
I expect to see him at Coventry.
I
do as well.
I don't think he'll play against Coventry. We'll see. Look, listen, we'll see. We'll see. But so far, it's all gone kind of how I've said. But anyway, back to Jed Spence. I don't want to do the whole I told you so. Jed Spence. Listen, Will, you proper, when you did your analysis on him, you couldn't understand why he was at Spurs. But the fact we've kept him, and Ange played in pre-season, and unlike all the other youngsters, he's not a youngster anymore. How old is Spence? 21, 22?
No, it's like 20, going to be 23, probably 22, 23, 24, around there.
Okay, so he's not classed as a youngster anymore. He's still at the club. We haven't sold him. We haven't loaned him out. He's part of the squad. Can anyone give me a good reason as to why he is not in the Europa
24.
Cup squad when we need to start rotating so we don't suffer an injury crisis for the league? And yet we've taken 4 goalkeepers, of whom they are homegrown, same as Spence. So we could have dropped a goalie. We don't need 4 goalkeepers. We don't need 4 goalkeepers for the Europa Cup. We don't even need 3. Why is
but isn't one of them part of the? It's because it's not only homegrown, is it? Does it have to be homes? I was going to say homeschooled.
It's not homegrown.
It's home trained or something, isn't it?
Yeah, it has to be trained out of the club. And Jed Spence isn't that.
Yeah, but there's
24, by the way. Spence is 24.
But there's one goalkeeper, because I can't remember it. There's one goalkeeper that Spence could have taken that goalkeeper's place. Foster.
No, I don't think there was.
He could have taken Fraser Foster's place.
The report I read was that it was either Werner, Dragerson.
Ian, he could have taken. He could have taken. That's it. He could have taken Fraser Foster's place. He could have.
Yeah, but he's the backup goalie, isn't he?
He didn't play any
He doesn't
pre-season.
trust Austin or any of those other guys.
He is the backup.
Look,
goalie.
I mean, why are we upset about it? Like, Jed Spence is a waster, so why are we mad that he's not going?
I just
because he's a replacement right back for Porro.
I think
Gray can play right back for Porro.
So
The
why
only
Spence
reason
to the club?
So we paid £40 million to pay another kid out of position just because he played there for Leeds because they had no other options.
Yeah, but he played there for a lot of games for Leeds.
I know.
Okay,
His
Will,
talent,
so then,
his £40 million worth of talent supposed to be for his actual position that he wants to play, not where he makeshift player. Anyway.
So Will, if Spence is a waster, as you put it, why is he still at the club then? Why is he?
Nobody
Why is
wants
he?
him.
Why? Okay, so then why is he on the bench on a match day?
There's too many whys.
He came on. Hold on, didn't he come on at the end of the game against Newcastle and Everton? I'm sure
I
he
think
did.
it was Everton, not Newcastle. He might have
He's
gotten
come on
like 5
twice.
minutes.
I think he's come on twice this season, hasn't he?
He has
So-
played.
Why did we bring Timo Werner back?
He's
still?
played 13 minutes.
Yeah, why did he? I don't understand what the club have done. They've kept a kid who's not going to play in the Premier League. He's not going to start games. We're clearly not going to rotate Porro. Then you think, all right, maybe in Europa when we play these weaker teams, he's dropped him from that squad. If you're Jed Spence, how on earth are you feeling motivated and what's the
You're
word?
not. He couldn't
and
even play in
inspired?
France, man. So, like,
So Will. So why is he here then? Why is it the club?
I mean, he won't be here for long. Guarantee you, he'll be gone as soon as they can find somebody to take him. Maybe he'll go to like Galatasaray or something. Who knows?
But there's a ball being counted that's saying he wanted to accept a loan offer, but we stopped it. Yeah. Oh, my bad. No, we don't even play him.
I was telling you something. Several clubs came in for Spence.
You
Before
got to
the
have somebody
transfer
like
window.
as like a, shit hits the fan type of a scenario. Someone just a body to put in there, and that's what he is. He's just a body. I don't want to see him play. I don't want him to see him play in the Europa League.
I thought he
I
played
had-
quite well.
Ask
in the
Will, why
pre-season,
don't
but-
you rate him? Sorry, Will, why don't you rate him? We've hardly seen anything of him, have we? In fairness.
Oh, I mean, I saw a lot of him when he played in the championship, and he was one of the worst in his position during that season. He had like a 4-month spell at the end of his last season in the championship that was all right. Let's just put it this way: he had altogether worse stats than Emerson Royale did playing that position. So if he's worse than Emerson Royale, he can do a good job picking up towels after the match.
Ron.
He played well pre-season for us this season.
Yeah, against who though? Not Bayern
Okay,
Munich.
hang on, but if he'd have played badly, people would have been saying, "Oh, he's a waste of space."
Yeah, but you're playing
But
against
I
some
can't win,
Australian
can they?
team or some Japanese team or something like that. Like it's not like those are
Who
lower
scored?
quality teams than anybody even in the championship.
Who all
So-
scored against us, man?
But we've not taken Jed Spence because you think he's no good. Fraser Forrester is rubbish. He's absolute crap compared.
Yeah, but hopefully
to-
we don't have to use him, right? Like you have to name people for the squad. It doesn't mean they have to play.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, don't name him in the squad so that Spence can be in there. So now we've got cover for right back in Europe. And
You
and
have
Leeds,
Gray, you have
Leeds, Leeds,
Dragonson, you have a bunch of players that are better options in that position than
Dragonson at right
Jed
back.
Spence. Yeah,
But
he
yeah, but-
played it
yeah, but-
in
Hold on.
You could
Look at
play.
hold on, guys. 1 minute. The way
Dragonson
Spence
as an
played-
inverted right back. I can't see that happening.
It'd be
Exactly.
Porro and Gray.
I
wouldn't it?
was just about
we
to
saw
say that.
Emerson do it.
Spence is better going forward than any other second option we've got after Porro for that position.
Yeah.
Going forward. So for the system,
Yeah, but
Spence
what
is a
about-
better option than anyone else
I
we've
think
got.
that
if
Gray-
Porro doesn't play.
Gray can go forward, can't he?
Look, that's a big
Yeah.
woo!
Dragonson
Wow.
can too. You saw him spin
Great.
that guy.
Kind of Gray can go forward. So basically, you're gonna have Porro and Gray on that side.
I've spoken to Leeds fans, and do you know what they say to me? They can't believe we're trying to play this kid as a defender.
But they played him there all
Well,
last
we're
year.
not. We're he's never going to play center back.
No, but they
Just
say
'cause he
Gray was
didn't- it's-
better. They said Gray did well at Leeds when he played in the middle.
I don't know how they would know that because the only games he played for them were 99% of them were at right back.
He must have played games in the middle. He must have.
He did.
He
I think
must
he
have.
played
played against
28
Chelsea.
games at right back last season.
I keep hearing that Lee apparently had a blinder against Chelsea.
Yeah. I mean, even by his own admission, in the interview that he did for the Spurs channel when he signed, he said his best position is in centre midfield.
Sure, that's his best position, of course. But I'm not saying that's not his best position. I'm
He
just saying the
can play
amount of
well.
time that he's played there for anyone is less time than he played at right back.
Although to be fair, to be fair, in pre-season, he played better when he played in defence. He looked
Than
a
he
bit
did
out of
as
his
a
depth when he
defensive
played
midfielder.
in the midfield. I must admit that. But hey, that's
The
pre-season.
one bad game that he did play pre-season, he was actually ill. He was ill. I was told and shouldn't have played.
Yeah, but pre-season, Kulusevski looked good up front as well.
Yeah.
Well,
he was our best player, wasn't he, pre-season?
Spence had a blinder.
What's happened since? What's happened to
Spence
Kulusevski?
looked good in pre-season as well. That's why I always said I'm happy for him to stay as a backup for at right back, as an understudy
should
to Porro.
be.
But whatever,
should be,
I don't know how this
to be
works
honest.
anymore.
But that is just a strange decision, though. I have to say. And literally, that is our first team that he's literally picked, isn't he? I don't think that obviously there's no first team players dropped, but
I can't wait for
we're
us
going to
to
get
start
burnt out.
rotating.
We're going to get burnt out.
When Ange, not only are we going to get burnt out, but when Ange starts rotating, everyone's going to see how crap our actual squad depth really is. The illusion that we've got that squad depth, we're gonna get found out with that. Anyway, look, I don't want to. Let it play out, and then we can
wait till it happens.
I do think that personally,
you think we might win the Europa Cup here, and I don't even think we're going to come close.
I think we're one of 5 or 6 clubs that should be in the mix for the Europa.
Hold on, you've changed what you said now. Now you're saying we should be in the mix.
What I said was that the one trophy we are capable of, the only trophy we're capable of winning this season is the Europa. Forget anything domestically. There are far better teams than us in the domestic trophies, domestic competitions. I do think I like Spence. He only got pushed out on loan by Conte because his timekeeping for meetings was bad and he was running late and he didn't put his finger out. People were talking about attitude when he was in France. Nobody talked about a lack of ability. No one's ever talked about a lack of ability since he joined the club. But, managers have also got to believe in you. He hasn't helped himself, but evidently he's come back this summer. He started pre-season training. He's behaved in a totally professional way. He's given 100%. And he's looked and it's only pre-season. And I know pre-season doesn't count for much, but it's got to count for something. Otherwise, you may as well not have any games. And he's come back far better in his attitude and his professionalism. And it showed in the friendlies, and you can only play against the teams you're up against. And people say, well, Hearts were rubbish and the Korean club weren't that good. But, it's you can only.
Yeah, but we do this all the time, Ian. Every season we go through the same thing as a fan base. Look at him pre-season. Look at this player. Old generational. Oh, the next superstar that we found the Dembele replacement. Oh, this guy's going to bag 20 goals. And then we get to the real season and none of it manifests into the reality. Sorry, none of it manifests into what everyone says. The reality is that everyone gets carried away. We got carried away by every single youngster pre-season. Our entire fan base got carried away with all of them.
I mean, if you send me to I don't know, Star Trek nerds convention, I'm the best looking guy there. It doesn't mean I'm the best looking guy there is, right? If everybody else there's ugly and glasses and short and stuff like that, and there's me 6 foot five,
Will's analogy.
That's what preseason is.
If I go to a Star Trek convention, I'm hot.
That's a very different analogy there, Will.
Yeah, but I mean it's the same thing. Like when I was in the military, right, and then I was stationed in Korea.
I need to see you in the uniform before I can agree to that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, when I was in the military and stationed in Korea. When I was in the military and stationed in Korea, there's this thing what we called Osan Queens, right? So girls that tend to join the military, not all, but a high majority of them aren't, any more than a 6 out of 10. But when you get stationed overseas, and that's the only girls that speak your language and everything like that, those 6s become 8s and 9s because of the options available. So when you're playing a team like, the teams that we play in preseason, yeah, Jet Spence looks like a decent player, but when he goes and plays against Ben White or has to mark, somebody like Doku or Sterling or something like that, I don't want to see that happen.
So you mean like Richarlison and Johnson when they can only come up against, they're only good against the bottom 10 team.
Exactly.
So what you're saying is pre-season fans watch the matches drunk.
Don't even watch them. It's pointless.
They're drunk. They're drunk and they're dressed up.
It means nothing.
So back on topic though. You do go to these Star Trek conventions or you don't? Because you don't.
If I did, right?
Right. Okay.
I would be Brad Pitt.
Would you be Captain Kirk or would you be the head of the Klingons?
Patrick Stewart, because I'm a Stewart and I'm bald.
Hey.
Oh yeah, you are a Stewart.
It'd be very interesting at the end of this season to look back, see which players have been given an opportunity and how they've performed.
Ian, if things don't change at
Same
Spurs
players.
in the next 8 games, Ange isn't going to be here at Christmas.
Let me tell you, still, he's going nowhere. He's going
I
nowhere.
don't know, man. Our fans turn. I've seen fans turn on all sorts of managers. I don't think any managers stick at this club.
There has to be a disastrous run of results, a really disastrous run of results.
If we lose to Arsenal, that's 4 points.
He's so popular with the
out of 12, and we're in the bottom half of the table. Pressure's on, and then you've got coming up the Brightons, the West Hams, the Uniteds, teams that we didn't do well against last season. Well, United we did all right.
United, we got 4 points, didn't we?
United did all right, yeah. By the way, we've got a super chat from Sava. Thank you, Sava. Have any of you seen Gray's stats when playing right back last season in the Championship? They are awful. This club is run so badly.
Why did he get young player of the?
I don't know what stats are awful, but
young player of the Championship last season, mainly playing at right back. So
yeah, I don't know why they're awful.
that totally contradicts what he's just put.
Maybe he was the youngest player in the Championship. I don't know. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I never watched Gray last season. I never watched enough of the
I
Championship.
mean, he had
to
2
know.
assists. He had a ton of shot creating actions. Very good tackle interception rates. I mean, there was one game against Norwich City where he literally had 9 tackles in one game.
Surely,
I don't know why his stats were bad as a right back. It depends on what you mean by like what you're looking for in a right back.
Surely, if he was that good, he'd be starting some games for us. Okay, so
Well, he's too young.
if we when we play,
That's the problem. Well, that's the problem. The manager won't play him. He won't play these kids. Just won't start them. Odebear's an anomaly, but I can't see him playing regularly if he carries on the way he did in the first 2 games. He's not ready. He's not ready.
Yeah, but have you seen the reports tonight? Apparently, he's just balled for France under 21s, and the Doué, the other guy that was supposed to be the other one we were after, got benched, and he's just had an absolute blinder of a match against under 21 competition.
I want to know.
I must have put.
I want to know. Yeah, who did France play against, and what system do France play?
I don't know. I don't watch the French under 21s.
Who did they play against? Oh, hold on. Under 21s league.
Yeah.
It's not men's game. That's why he's not playing men's.
That's
football.
what I said at the end of it.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear. Sorry,
mate. You need to listen more, mate. Honestly.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I think it's those earplugs in your ears. It's not helping.
No, I just didn't want to accept that Odebear was good.
You just need to upgrade to the new one still because those are apparently a certified hearing aid. It'll help you out.
Yeah, so they were playing Bosnia and Herzegovina. So yeah.
Unfortunately, they won't do anything for the Wi-Fi though.
Yeah, there's nothing I can do about the Wi-Fi. Let's just do a quick prediction. What you think the score is going to be this weekend, and then only so I can clip it and bring it back next week and do the whole "I told you so" or "you called it," or just to have a bit of fun with it. Will, what's your prediction?
Because we're at home, I'm gonna say 2-1 Tottenham.
The Spurs win 2-1 to the Spurs. Do you know what? Spurs have never lost 3 home games in a row to Arsenal before. You know that. We've done 2 so far.
We've done a lot of.
Why do you have to bring up crap like that?
No, I'm just saying because that means the odds are the odds are we won't lose. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Look how you interpret it as a negative.
That's not what the odds mean, but but yeah,
you interpret it as a negative. All right, 2-1 to the Spurs. Ian,
I desperately hope I'm wrong, but I think Arsenal will nick it 2-1.
2-1 to the Arsenal. JP,
2-1 Tottenham.
Another 2-1 to the Spurs. What about you, Lee?
I'm going with Ian. I think it's going to be 2-1 to Arsenal. I think we're going to have possession. I don't think we're going to be clinical enough, and I think I hope not, but the frailties that we've seen where they can open us up are what they're going to be a lot more clinical than we are. So I don't want it. I don't want a 2-1, but that's what I think it's going to end up being. But we'll see.
I've just got one more additional prediction to that. Is that Odegaard scores and still comes out and goes, "Wow, that was a fantastic goal."
Yeah, he's a baller.
If Odegaard
Scores the winner.
does
Oh,
good
hello.
things for
Wait.
Spurs, right?
Yeah,
If
yeah,
Odegaard
yeah.
does good things for Spurs, I will hold up my
Don't
hand
even go there.
and take it. Just like when I wore that Arsenal shirt and sat there and I took it, I will take it. I just don't see an end product with this guy. I
Okay,
don't
so
see that end product. And
let's
do you know,
review that at the end of the season.
do you know what's really pissing me off at the moment? Actually, with Spurs, like really just winding me up. I genuinely think Bergvall's a good player. I can see a really good player there,
Agree.
but he needs to be refined. He needs to be developed. He needs game time. And I'm seeing dog shit like Werner come on, crap like Johnson start, Kulu play out wide when he's not actually good out wide against a top 10 team. And Odegaard just comes in and starts, every game. Why doesn't bloody Bergvall get this kind of game time? Because for me, he's the best one of the lot in terms of what I've seen.
I prefer him over Basuma
technically.
right now.
But
Yeah,
that's
technically, I
because
think
you've
he's
got-
better than Basuma.
That's because you've got
Different
Basumas
position,
and your
though.
Papasars, and you've got already established people in front of him, right, in that team so far. Whether they're good or not, it's a different story. But they're already established on those sides where Timo is. There's no one else there, really, is there?
We've got to stop this.
But he's not a left winger either, so I don't see.
We've got to start playing players for their technical ability in the positions, not just because they've had played there for the last 6 months because the other player hasn't come into the club. I just don't get that. I'm using my eyes. I'm not using the data. I'm just using my eyes. I don't trust Basuma when he's got the ball at his feet. Sometimes it's 50-50 as to whether he's going to make a pass or...
Yeah, Kulu hasn't played on the wing once this season.
He went out wide in one of the halves against, I'm sure the last game or against Everton, we moved him out wide in one of the halves. No, I know we did. No, we did.
No, he only played 66 minutes and he came off. He played right mid. He played in the 8 against Everton.
Where did he play against
that
Leicester?
wide once. He played center mid the first game, right mid the second game, and then striker and right mid against Newcastle. He hasn't played wide at all this year. Not once.
Kulu went wide in one game.
No, he didn't. Sorry.
I'm going to go back and find it.
I'm looking at it right now.
There's no way. I remember him out wide in one game or one half.
No, he only played 12 minutes against Leicester, and he played as center mid. He played right mid against Everton, and in that 8 role, Pap Matasar came on for him in the 66th minute.
He did well in
right?
that game.
And then he played striker for the first half of the Newcastle game, and then played in the Pap Matasar role when Pap Matasar went off. And that was his full 90 minutes. He hasn't played wide once this season.
I'm going to go back and watch. I'm sure Newcastle.
He did in the Nations League for Sweden, but he didn't play
No.
wing for Tottenham.
No, I'm not talking about Nations League.
I'm just saying he hasn't played as a winger for Tottenham this season.
Can I ask a question? Because I'm just seeing, a few comments coming up here. Negative comments about Archie Gray. And I don't understand why. The kid's had a decent season. He's 18 years old. What do people expect? Do they expect him to be Polinia at 18 years old or Rodri?
I think when you pay £40 million for a player, I think when you pay £40 million for a player.
But they didn't still. They paid 25. 15 was Rodon. They paid 25. That was 25 million.
No, hold on. We paid 40, but we got 15 back. Let's have it right. I get what you're saying. Overall, the deal worked out to 25.
It worked out 25. It was 25 plus.
Yeah, you went to McDonald's, you ordered a hamburger, you gave them £40, they gave you £15 back. Like it's come on.
We gave them a £15 million asset.
What is the? Can I ask a question? We're talking finances again. Let's talk about the player. I don't give a shit
he hasn't played
whether they pay 5 million.
You brought the question.
No. What I'm saying is, I don't understand why people are knocking him. Let's just discuss when we see him about his football ability.
The reason I said it's about the money is because if we paid £5 million for him, no one would be saying anything. Because that 40 million is part of what we could have spent to try and get Eze. Because when you ask fans, if we didn't spend 30 million on Odegaard and we didn't spend 40 million on Gray and we spent 70 million getting Eze, would you have taken that? Most fans say yes. And I think that's what it comes down to. The fact that we've spent money on potential instead of what we could have spent for proven oven ready.
Still, we had a net spend of 38 million. Players' fees are amortized they're split over 5 years. I know it's got to be paid, and it's 38 million. But why couldn't we have spent? If you're looking at Spurs, and we'd have bought Eze as well, and there'd have been a net spend of 98 million, then you're looking at it and you're thinking, do you know what? It's not a massive amount of money for a club like Spurs. We're meant to be the 8th richest club in the world. We turned over 550 million last year. We've got 30 events coming in now instead of 15 or 16.
It's doubled, isn't it?
You had Beyonce. You've got God knows
Why
how
are we
many.
talking about money? Why are we
No,
talking
Yeah,
about money?
finances in.
No, but I'm just saying that we should have bought Eze as
We
well.
all get sucked in, you know that. We all get roasted.
But I know we don't want to talk about the finances, but isn't the argument that I had a couple of weeks ago is that yes, we have 500 million net spend, but we've still got 250 million outstanding in owed for players. We've got to have that money in the bank, otherwise we can't satisfy the transfers.
This club will never spend the money on the right players at the right time to make us trophy winners. Everything is calculated to balance the books, to make us look good from a business perspective, so that we can generate more borrowing, to develop more asset accumulation, to potentially sell the business. Everything we do is about finance and business, never to say, do you know what? Let's just give these fans a little something and try and win a freaking trophy. If we wanted to get Eze, we could have done it. If we wanted to get...
That would have been perfect, wouldn't it? Eze and that Odebert. And then on that side, you could go, do you know what? Odebert can learn from him. Come on, last 15, 20 minutes. You've kind of got that side nailed down now, haven't you?
I don't want Odebert here, JP. I would have rather an academy kid come through and we just developed one of them and then spent that £30 million Odebert money on a proper number 6.
Yeah, but Odebert trained with Neymar.
And,
of course.
And I saw the
just like Emerson Royale Chicken Royale, trained with Messi at Barcelona, right?
As a youngster, last season, Odebert was 3rd or 4th or something in the league for taking people on, and just in front of that young Spanish guy. What's that young Spanish kid called?
No. What Spanish kid?
Yamal.
Nico Williams?
No, Yamal.
Yamal. Oh yeah, we're not going to get these kids. They're not coming to Spurs.
No. But Odebert was 3rd behind him or 2nd behind him last season.
I just fail to see Odebert delivering that end product. Listen, because he's young, he gets a year, but that year we've got to wait is a year that the team isn't progressing and trying to win a trophy this season. And what happens is you wait a year, right? Next year is going to be the year, although we were told the 2nd year is when Ange wins trophy. So now we're going to go into the 3rd year. And then you've allowed Man United to restructure the club. You've allowed Arsenal to get stronger. You've allowed Chelsea to try and sort out their shit show. Brighton are getting better. And it's almost like, when are we ever actually going to deliver?
Why are you picking on Odebert? I feel that you're picking on Odebert a bit.
Yeah, he hasn't played badly. He's no worse than the people we've had for years.
It feels like there's hatred in
I'm waiting for the reply, because I said exactly the same as Will, and I got beaten up last week.
I've slammed Timo Werner for a whole season. I've been slamming Brennan Johnson for a whole season, and I've gone into this season as well. I've said
Timo Werner acceptable.
No good against the top 10 teams. I've said Richarlison is a waste of money.
Yep.
Odebert is one of many I could pick on.
Dude,
right?
He's not Brian Hill, bro.
He's only just come. He's just like played half a game.
Timo Werner's got better stats than Odebert at Spurs.
No.
Oh yes, he has, Will. Oh yes,
but he played more games at Spurs.
Not this season. He hasn't.
I've averaged it out. I've done it.
Timo Werner this season does not have better stats than Odebert this season.
I said at Spurs.
Of course, he's played like 30 minutes.
But Odebert started the last 2 games.
Yeah, and he's played better than Timo Werner this season.
No. Timo Werner hasn't missed an open goal yet. Odebert has.
He's only played 5 minutes, hasn't he?
30 £30 million, and he can't score from 4 yards out. Are you kidding me?
I think you're
Wait,
being
how many people can't
You're
do?
being
How many
hard.
times have Richarlison not been able? We spent 60-something million on Richarlison, and how many times could he not score from 4
Well,
yards
I've
out?
blasted Richarlison.
I
I've
know.
absolutely
But what I'm
annihilated
saying,
him.
this kid's 18. Timo Werner's like 26. There's a
Odegaard's
huge
if I-
difference.
19.
If
Odegaard's 19.
Odegaard
19. Just
if
turned
still not good
'Odegaard
19.
enough.
misses
He's not
half
good
the
enough.
amount of but if Odegaard misses half the amount of chances that Richarlison does, and he's half the price, then it averages out, right? So we're all good.
Yeah.
No, that means he's better, right?
I haven't-
Yeah, probably. Listen, give the
Odegaard-
boy time. I like the
Yeah.
refreshing way that he's playing. I like the way that he's trying to take plays on. But you're absolutely right, Stel. Now he needs to develop his end product. If he can get that right, I think he's going to be something different on the wings. That Timo won it. 3 games. Let's see how it progresses.
But looking at the comments, people are saying, Gray shouldn't have bought. Gray shouldn't have bought. Odeberg should have had We should have been able to have all of them. This is Tottenham Hotspur. We've taken 17 players this summer off the wages list. We have got rid of several players. There have been a few with transfer fees coming in, and this is Tottenham Hotspur. We're not Brighton. We're not Brentford. We can't. It's net spend of 38 million.
First,
Ian, seriously,
I agree with
for
Ian.
me personally,
Anyone under the age of 20, I don't count as even a signing. That's an academy signing for me. You're under the age of 20, you're an academy signing. That means we signed one player.
If we had owners that were serious, we'd have gone out and bought, if possible. For me, the 3 that I wanted were Isak, Eze, and Polina. You spend the best part of 200 million. You've got these 3 players. All of a sudden, the whole dynamic at the club changes. We've got a proper team. We've got a team that's going to challenge for trophies.
I didn't hear any wingers in there.
That's not our club.
But this is the point. Because we didn't do that, we're looking at what we have done. And what we have done is signed Odeberts and Grays and Yang and Feeney, right? So
they're academy signings.
Yeah, Will, but this is my point. Had we have signed these, let's call them academy signings. Had we have signed the academy signings and all the players Ian mentioned, this wouldn't even be a conversation. As a fan base, would be like,
we would have had more than one signing. That's what I'm saying.
And
Solanke was the only signing we actually
3
made for the first team this year. Now, the other ones may participate in it.
Correct. But because we didn't do that, we're now looking at the players that we have signed who are playing in the first team, and we're saying, you're not it. You're simply not it.
That's why it's a bad transfer window.
Yeah, but I'm trying to explain, because Ian was asking the question, why people in the comments saying shouldn't have got Gray, shouldn't have got that. I think what they're trying to say is we should have got both, but because we didn't, we shouldn't have got these ones. We should have not bought the youth and just spent the money on the ones that actually improved the first team.
We did well. They
should have bought them and players that got. We're supposed to be like the richest club in the world. Why is it the Tottenham always has like the record profits in the league, but yet whenever it comes to the transfer window, we're always freaking broke?
Smokescreen.
Because we're the Goldman Sachs of football.
We got Pink flying around the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium yesterday, flying around like a weirdo. And like, how much money does that bring into the club? And yet we can't even buy a freaking winger. I mean, it's silly.
I don't know.
Well, you've got more chance of hosting a Star Trek convention at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium than signing Eze, right?
Listen,
I agree with you.
Be careful having this conversation, right? Because if we do have this conversation, we're gonna be taken to court over accusations of buying subs for the channel, right? Because this is what happens if you dare challenge this conversation. If you dare go down the road of saying, what are the club doing with the transfers? What are the club doing with the finances?
We're already getting that anyway, so it doesn't matter.
We're gonna this is we can I just say to Matty Kushner, right? Stats doesn't mean everything still. When I'm talking about the stats of Odegaard, I also watch him play. I watched him miss an open goal. I watch him fail to put one accurate cross in the box for 2 games in a row. I watch him make 2 out of every 6 dribbles a successful dribble. I watched that. I do both.
Okay, I do have to correct you a little bit on the 2 out of 6, right? Because I watched that show, by the way. And that stat specifically takes to you beating the man, right?
Correct.
Meaning that they do not recover. So if you beat a guy, like meaning you get past him and the defender recovers, that does not count as a successful dribble. So you have to look at how many times he was dispossessed. He was never dispossessed in those 6 attempts. The defender never recovered in only 2 of them. Right. So
he was
sorry, hold on.
But the right back for Everton, they were saying that I think one of the press guys from Everton was saying he's the fastest player.
He's a kid who made his debut.
He made his debut, but in terms of pace, he's the fastest player they have ever had.
Okay, doesn't mean you can tackle or read the game because you've got pace. Yeah, but hold on, because you've got pace doesn't mean you can tackle or read the game.
Didn't go round him once in that match. Didn't go round the outside of him once. Dixon was too quick for him. It was a really impressive debut by the Everton boys.
But Odegaard did keep possession of the ball, even though he didn't get past him. Right, so every attempt that he made, he didn't lose the ball. Yeah, he had to cut back.
One minute. When I did that show, I did say that the one stat that was really good was his retention of the ball. I go back and watch. That's the one stat that was really good. But when I look at when I look at attacking forward, I'm looking at chances created, accurate delivery of the ball, shots at goal, shots on target, goals scored. I'm looking at metrics that say to me that's what I want from that position. But I saw none of it. Just
like possession of the ball that we keep, but do nothing with it at the end of it. Yeah?
Correct.
Exactly the same.
Exactly.
So he fits in perfectly, Lee.
He's perfect.
So when we fail to convert chances or create chances and win games, Odegaard is part of that problem because he fits straight into the criteria that's failing us. So we've got this problem at Spurs. If you're young, you're not allowed to be called out. You're not allowed to be criticised or questioned just because of your age. Well, then do you know what? You're not old enough to play football then. You shouldn't be at a professional football club because Nico Williams, I guarantee you, if Nico Williams suddenly stops playing well, he's going to get absolutely crucified. Regardless of what he's done in the past. People won't give a shit about his age. They won't say, oh, he's young. He's proven he was good, once in a while. We've got to say it for what it is. All I'm saying is I will give Odegaard a season. I will. I've said that on all the shows I've done, and I'm saying it again now. But what I've seen so far, I don't understand. There's no end product with him. If in the next 8 games I see an end product, I'll say, do you know what? Freaking hell, he's proven me wrong.
Yeah, but I was just saying, like, in the game against Everton, right? Like, he led the team in progressive carries, right? Like, he literally did the best of bringing the ball forward and holding on to anybody on the team.
Whoop-de-doo.
Better than Kulu, better than Son, better than Johnson, better than anyone, right? So, like, the Everton game, he played well in the first, whatever minutes that he played, 65 minutes or whatever. He wasn't outstanding, but he did all right.
It's a step in the right direction. Yeah. When you've got Timo Werner as the other option.
Benchmark.
He's a raw 19-year-old.
I'm looking at when Foden plays out wide. I'm looking at when Saka plays out wide. I'm looking at when Mohamed Salah plays out wide. And I'm looking at Odegaard, and he doesn't even.
Don't say Foden out wide, mate.
How long?
Because it gives me nightmares of Gareth Southgate playing him out wide.
I've had like 5-6 seasons in the league. And
How
Phil
long
Foden is not good. He's the most overrated player in the Premier League.
Will, what are you talking about?
He's good, but he's not what people are talking about him being world class. World class at what?
Foden is brilliant. I am comparing. I'll come back to Foden. I am comparing Odegaard to the players in the teams that we're supposed to be beating for trophies this season, and Odegaard doesn't even come close to the level that we're supposed to be beating. That's why
it's unfair to compare.
What 18-year-old does?
Aren't they 4 or 5 years into their Premier League experience already? Salah's like nearly done.
It's not my problem.
I know, but you can't compare someone who's already had their kind of time and been there to a young kid just starting out.
When Dele Alli was a kid at Spurs, we were comparing him. Why? Because he was good. But because Odegaard's not good, it's not fair. We can't compare. This is my argument. Just because of his age.
We've seen him like 90 minutes. We've seen him play the equivalent
I think that's
of one
an
game.
incorrect measurement, to be honest.
Still, it's unfair to judge someone after 2 games. Different players mature at different ages. Rooney was an early starter. Rooney was an early starter. Ian Wright came through at 25. Vardy came through even later.
But I'm
You know,
not judging Odebert. I'm not judging him. I've said I'm going to give him the season. What I'm saying is, from
he
what
might
I've
need
seen,
2 years still. He might need
for-
to before you look at Anthony Gordon in his first year at Newcastle. He was toilet. All of my pals up there hated him. He had a great second year though.
fair enough. Fair enough. But Newcastle don't win anything either. That's
Well, we don't either, do we?
This is why because we signed Odebert. What I'm saying is, I'm not judging him. I don't think he's good or crap. What I think is, from what I've seen, there's no end product with him so far. I haven't seen anything for me to get excited about. But because he's energetic and because he keeps possession of the ball, we're saying, yeah. Give it time. It'll be come good. Played well for the under-21s against Bosnia. Like I don't get it.
Yeah, but
I think
you compared him to Phil Foden, who was really good last season in the midfield, right? Here's my point, right? Phil Foden had 19 goals last season, right? In all comps or whatever in the league or all comps.
It's pretty good, right?
Yeah. How many did he have from right wing? 1.
Because he plays better when he's free floating across
exactly.
the front.
He has to have that ability to. It's similar with Kulu. Phil Foden reminds me of Kulusevski. When Phil Foden's playing in the midfield, he's brilliant. He can go left. He can go right. He can attack the box. He can do those things he wants to do. But when he's playing out wide, he's not that good. He is not a winger. Phil Foden is not a winger.
Look what Southgate did to Foden. 2 games for England, and everyone was starting to put him on the bench, get him off the pitch, put him on the bench because he was being played out of his position. I just want to continue to talk about Odebert because I just want to hear Stell say Odebert.
Okay.
I think
if Odebert goes missing against Arsenal, right, and he misses another open goal, I want everyone here on Monday.
Okay.
8:30.
Do you know what I'm going to? Not a problem,
listen,
but I don't.
I want everyone here on Monday, and we will talk about Odebert. We'll do an Odebert special on that day.
Even if he had a bad game, like this is his 3rd game.
My
let's
worry with Odebert and the kids is this all comes down to the coaching. I can see potential in these kids and I can see potential in other players as well. My issue is that we do not have Poch, right? We do not have Poch that can coach these kids to their strengths. We have got a manager that has a system and fits those people into the system, whether that makes their talent shine or not. That's my issue with how these kids progress in the team. I'm not sure they will progress. I don't think he's, actually made any player better than they already are. That's my worry with this manager.
I think the only player that's improved, like under Ange, is
Porro.
Yeah, I think Porro has
improved. In what way? Improved in his defensive capabilities or his ability to absolutely score a rocket from 25 yards?
I think he's getting the best out of Porro going forward as a player because
absolutely
last season when I did the whole which players turn up against the top 10 teams and which ones don't, our best 2 players were Porro and Son for goals and assists against the top 10 teams.
I don't think that's because he's coaching Porro, though.
That's who Porro
I don't
was.
think that's because he's coaching Porro, though. That's because naturally the way that he wants his right back to play is a more forward, progressive
not only that,
player,
Porro didn't
and
play
he just
bad
does
under
that
Conte.
better.
That whole myth that Pedro Porro played poorly under Conte is absolute horseshit, right? He played really well under Conte. Pedro Porro was good in Portugal. Pedro Porro is a good player, period. I don't think Ange has necessarily improved Pedro Porro. I think Pedro Porro is just more comfortable playing in the league now than he was for the first 4 months under Conte, which I didn't even think he played poorly then. But Pedro Porro was by the numbers the best right back in the league last season.
Yeah, he was. That was during Ange's reign, though, wasn't it? That's the point, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's not because Ange made it that way. Pedro Porro is just that good of a player playing that style, right? He is a Trent Alexander-esque type of player. No, it's just.
I don't think he's made anyone better still, to be honest.
I actually think Porro would do a better job.
I think Porro in this system inverting it actually works for him. I think he's done all right in this system.
I think Porro excels because
he's crucified Udogie though. It's crucified him.
Do you know why though? Because if you watch, there's a difference between the way Porro and Udogie invert. Porro takes up those spaces on the 18-yard box, just outside the box, whereas Udogie seems to push up onto the line across the front, and that's why it gets very compacted. Whereas Porro will drop a little bit, and that's why he gets so many shots, and that's why he can put those diagonal crosses in. Whereas Udogie doesn't do that, and that's why you find that he's more exposed down that side than Porro is, because Porro's not pushing as far forward. They are inverting, but not as far forward. And I think that's why Porro is looking the better out of the two right now, because he reads the game better and smarter.
He doesn't make near as many bad decisions either, right? Yeah. If you look at the passes, watch Pedro Porro from that right-hand side before he passes the ball. He never even looks down to strike it. His head is up. He's scanning the pitch, right? Yeah. And then he plays the ball without even looking at it, right? So he has far more control, whereas Udogie's always got his head down. And then when he goes to do so, I got to get rid of it, he doesn't even look to where he's passing it to. He just blasts the ball into a place where he thinks a player should be. And then they're down the other end on a counterattack, and we're conceding goals. But I don't rate Udogie at all. In fact, I think we would need a brand new left back. I don't understand the Udogie hype. I think he's good going forward as far as making like attacking mid runs into the box. But as a left back, I think he's horse shit.
Can I? Right. I'm gonna half agree with you, Will. I don't know if it was last week's show or the week before, but it's definitely on our Twitter page and our YouTube community page. I put a picture of Udogie and Vicario, and I said, I think these two are regressing. I said, I think these two players are regressing under Ange. And as always, you're not allowed to make a statement and someone to say, why do you think that's Stelios? Or I disagree with you because it is. It's you hate Tottenham, go support Arsenal. Okay, great. Brilliant, educated response. Thank you. But I agree, Will. I think Udogie's going backwards because the Udogie at Udinese is nothing like the one we're seeing here. I think the system's partly the problem. I don't think
at all. That's what I was going to say.
But Vicario, I've got to say, I'm worried about Vicario. Other than a good shot stopper, I think he's dodgy.
Yeah, but Udogie was playing as a wingback at Udinese, right? So he wasn't responsible for actually defending and/or making sure, if he gives the ball away, there's a third center back there to cover for him, right? Whereas Pedro Porro, who's never played an actual right back before, has always played a wingback himself. It makes far less defensive errors than Udogie does.
Get him back as well, doesn't he?
Because he doesn't get near as forward, and not only like what I'm drawing a blank. What Udogie does is he not only does he cut high into the penalty box, but he also comes midfield far farther than Pedro Porro does, right? Pedro Porro tends to keep his lane better as well. He doesn't cheat inside near as much, and he doesn't go near as far forward. So not only that, but it's even in buildup. Even when we're playing the ball out of the back, Pedro Porro makes far less mistakes in transition than Udogie does. I think Udogie's fine. I think he's a better person to attack going forward. But I'd almost rather have Ben Davies play on the left back just because he's a steady Eddie that's not going to make dumbass mistakes as far as passing, building out of the back.
And Will, what you find with Udogie going so far forward is that Maddison has to drop to come and get the ball massively, and then all of a sudden he's picking the ball up in our own half rather than where you want him to pick it up is on 10 yards outside their box looking for a pass or putting a diagonal ball in. He's so it stifles him.
Udogie has a hard time playing a straight ball down the line to Son. Straight ball down the line to Son. Udogie has a hard time completing that pass.
Do you know what? That's one thing I've noticed for Udogie, right? There's moments where he should release the ball, but he delays it. Yeah, he delays it, and then that's when the passes go astray. Do you know, it's so freaking annoying because if we did have Conte playing the 3-5-2, I think our wing backs would be better off. I think our centre backs would be better off. I think that to play, Ian, you said it earlier, to play Son and Solanke as a front two, I think that suits them better. You know what, Will? The more and more we have these chats, the more and more this system doesn't work, It doesn't work for the players we've got. I think the system can work if we had the players. I don't think we've got the players for this system.
But that's what
the system works if you're playing position 20 to 15 every week in a J League or Scotland. When you've got
we haven't got the players for what we want to do.
If we had the players, this system would be amazing, right? That's my point. I'm not saying that the system is necessary. The system's not at fault because the system's bad. The tactics themselves suck. the system is bad for the players that we have because the players can't play in this system. That's what I'm saying. We
all right, so
haven't
here's
we
a
didn't
question for you
sign
then.
anyone.
In the
All right,
Premier
here's a
League,
question
you
for you
need
then.
9s out of 10s in every position though for this system to work.
Yeah, we need Manchester City squad for this system to work. Is what we need.
All right, here's a question for you then. Here's a question for you. Given that we don't have the quality of players, and you said at the start of the show, we haven't got the quality. Given that we haven't got the quality of players for this system to work, should Ange, knowing he's not going to get the players this season now, should he change the system to work for the players he has got?
100%.
It depends on your perspective, right? Do you want to do something or challenge or lose this game, or are you trying to work on a system or are you trying to do a project where you're trying to make this system the new standard at Tottenham, right? And that's just going to simply take time. And the problem is we have Daniel Levy as a chairman who's not going to go out and get the players necessary.
Right. So as a
because
manager,
you could see it.
Yes,
You could see it.
Okay, so if you know the chairman's not going to give you the players you want, and you're not going to walk out of the club like Conte did, you're going to stay here. Should Ange then change his system because he's not going to get the players?
It depends on the expectations
By
that
his
they
own
have.
word, though. By his own words, though, he doesn't.
When this is
Some
going
people
to
say it's one trick pony, right?
He's not going to walk out still. If you say he's not going to walk out, sorry, Ian. If you say he's not going to walk out, the thing he's not going to give him, the board's not going to give him money for the players that he wants. He just carries on until his like. Then he don't give him monkeys, does he? He's just going to carry on until his
Until he gets
contract
sacked.
runs out.
Yeah. He either gets the players that he wants, because you heard him, right? He has the final say where a player comes or not. And the reason why we didn't sign players were probably offered to him, and he was like, "No, they don't fit my system. No, they're not. They're not any better than what I got. No, they're not. This is a play." So it's like you either bring him out and bring a manager that fits the players, which we've tried before, and that didn't work either, or you let him be stubborn and push and put pressure on the board to give him the players that he needs. Either way, we're going to suck.
But the board aren't
going to win
giving
that
the
fight.
players. You know, there was a comment on here before about wages. We don't pay the top wages. You think about it. We want the top players to come in to play in this system or whatever system the manager wants. You've got, you know, at the end of the day, the top clubs who win the trophies basically have the best players who are paid the best wages, pretty much. You know, you get anomalies like Leicester from time to time, but by and large, you know, that's where it is. We don't win trophies, but we don't pay the top wages. So how do we expect the top players to come to Spurs? We need new owners with a whole new mentality, because with every business, and football is no different, the winning mentality comes from the top. And if it's not there from the top coming down, this is what you get. One trophy in 23 years. You know what? And Portsmouth and Wigan have won one trophy in the last 23 years. We're on a level with them. And that says it all. Ange does say that Ange does only accept the players that he wants. And I'm sure he's turned down a lot of players this season. And Eze wasn't his priority, obviously. He wanted Gallagher. That was his number one choice. It was well documented in all the press.
I mean, he was never going to come, was he?
Ange wanted Gallagher. That was his be-all and end.
But this manager's told the world, I've been backed. These are my players. So the media are going to judge him on that. Fans are going to judge him on that. And rivals will judge us on this.
He hasn't been backed. He's not been backed, has he? Break down the transfer window.
That's not what he's saying, Ian. That's not what he's saying.
He has come out and said he has got backed and he's got the players he wants, right?
Is he going to say otherwise, JP?
Hold on. What he said is I've been backed, but he also said I'm not going to accept any players that I don't think fits the system. So if this is the only players that he thinks can work at some level in the system, and that's why he allowed them to come to the club, it doesn't mean they were necessarily the players that he preferred, right?
Timo bloody Werner. Is he having a laugh? Is he literally taking the mick out of us?
That's what annoys me the most, because even last year he was
signed
saying
Timo Werner and he says that.
the area we need to improve is the front three. He said that numerous times last season. And then the first thing that happened was Timo came back.
He wanted Gallagher. He didn't come. He wanted Neto. He didn't come. There was a lot of talk in the press about Hermoso. He didn't come. In terms of getting rid of the Deadwoods, you would say they did well. because Spurs in the past have held on to players far longer than they should have done. But
because it balances the books for the wages. Of
correct,
course they don't work.
correct. But they've gone far too far because you now don't have a strong enough squad. And you look at the squad, you've got the 23 for Europe, plus you've got Spence, you've got Mikey Moore, Lancashire, and Dorrington, who are all kids. Well, Spence isn't, but he's not a regular. So you got 27 at most, which is why I think the kids will get a run out, because we're going to pick up injuries, we're going to pick up suspensions, we're going to be playing plenty of games, and I do think, and I've said on this podcast before, I think by the end of the season, Gray and Bergvall will be regulars in the first team. I think they are that good. My opinion, pure speculation, because I haven't seen them play enough. But just from what I've seen, I think they're two super kids.
Simon Davies said to me, Bergvall will feature this season. He said that. So I agree with that. Gray, I don't know. Gray, I've got no idea about.
He looks good. He looks comfortable on the ball. He looks like he wants to take the ball forward. I like Bergvall, kind of like from what I've seen. And the other game, I think, was it Newcastle? I really thought you should have brought him on sooner for Maddison.
Yeah, I did as well. I thought that, JP. But he needs to be. This is the problem, though. These guys need to be brought. They need to start
slowly,
because we need to get the. If we think they're better, then we need to start, get them on the pitch, and shut games down before we're bringing them on because we're under pressure because we're losing by a goal or something like that. That's not the way that you do it.
That's
if you
even
want
more
the
pressure,
talent to shine, start the guys, because you're either confident with them or you're not. So if he's not confident with them and he's only using for 20 minutes when we're in such a position that we need them to come on and put all the pressure on them, that's not the way to do things. You know?
I think one of the things I see daily is that we've all seen glimpses of him and seem to like him and stuff. We start him, he has a bad game, and then everyone's like kind of like on top of it.
Game.
Everyone's got to judge. Everyone's got to judge after a period of time. You can't turn around and say, well, he's had 2 bad games, bad bye.
Yes.
Sometimes players take months to settle in. And it is.
Again, we've got a manager who says, I win trophies in my second season. I'm going to challenge for the league.
And
he wants to challenge for the league. He didn't say he was going to challenge for the league. I think,
he meant Europa League.
Conference League.
Do you know what he did? He didn't say which league. You know, Lee might have a point here. Yeah. He didn't say which league. Listen, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Will, what did you say for the Arsenal game? You said 2-1 Spurs. Ian said 2-1 Arsenal. JP said 2-1 Spurs.
Will, yeah.
You said 2-1 Arsenal. Lee, right? I'm going to stick with what I said. I think it's going to be 2-2 because of their injuries. But we're going to feel like we've dropped 2 points, though, by the end of it. Do you know, I was confident we'd go to Newcastle and get a result. So I'm probably wrong about this one as well. There you go.
We should have done, shouldn't we?
We should have. But we don't know how to defend. So
we don't know how to score.
We don't know how to score either. Yeah, that too. We've got 1-1, 2-0 to Arsenal, 3-2 to Spurs. 5-0 to Arsenal. Mixed bag. Guys, you can check us out tomorrow night. I think it's 8 or 9. I don't even know what time. Got a fan calling show. Your chance to speak. Mari goes live on Thursday for North London is ours. Arsenal and Spurs fans having it out. And Will, are you planning on doing anything this week or not?
Not this week. So my show is going to be like a EFL review show. So like a week in review type of show. Since there's nothing to review this week, then it'll start after the North London derby.
Okay, so we'll be on the following week. We'll be live Sunday night, late night show, 9:30, 10 p.m.-ish, discussing the North London derby. That should be absolute fireworks either way, win, lose or draw. Sav with a super chat says, question to Ian. Ian, you got a question. If Arsenal or United had signed Odegaard, Gray, Bergvall and Yang in their window, what would you and all our fans have said?
Okay, let me answer that player by player. Didn't know a thing about Odegaard, so I wouldn't have been overly impressed. Gray, having spoken to a good friend of my son who travels around watching Leeds home and away turned around and said Leeds should have held him for another year. He'd have been worth 65 million. He was devastated. Gray had left. Bergvall has been hyped up out of all the kids. I mean, he played for Sweden a couple of days ago, didn't he? Yang, I do business in Korea. The guys in Korea are telling me that this kid is going to be the absolute dogs. So, you know, but if you're saying to me, what do you need in terms of a transfer window? I'd say in terms of bringing in potential, because, you know, they're unproven in the Premier League, so it's potential. I'd say we had an excellent window. In terms of bringing in players we need to move straight into the first 11 to strengthen the team, it was really poor. Really bought Solanke.
I think the answer I would say is
the question, guys. Sorry, guys.
All of them.
The question is not individually.
Potential terrific for the first team. The first team not so good.
1 minute. The question is, if that was Man United's window as a whole.
They're a bigger club and they buy players, they buy big players and they spend big wages. You cannot compare us to Man United. We are small time in terms of the mentality from the top at the club. We don't pay the wages. We don't go and buy the big players. You know, what's the name? 200 million on Casemiro, Martinez and Anthony. Now, regardless of whether they were a success or not, the Glazers backed him and they said, right, who do you want? Those three players, 200 million, there's the dosh. We're not like that. Shouldn't that, you know, we should have spent 200 million on Isaac, Palhinha and Eze. We didn't do it. That's the difference between United and Tottenham. So unfair to have, we would have laughed at Man United because they bring in big players. But they spent 72 million on Sancho from Dortmund at the age of 20.
Yeah.
That wasn't
we had a really good window for the 2030 season.
Yes. Correct. That's why we will never really compete because we don't have owners who want to compete. So there's your answer.
And that just kills it stone dead there, Ian, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like that is literally it, isn't it?
Horrible window for the
They're not
2024
interested in
season.
trophies. Our owners are not interested in trophies. Make a profit. They're brilliant at making a profit. Fantastic. Running a football club in terms of winning trophies, forget it. Probably as bad as you can get.
I think the answer probably Savile was looking for. We'd all laugh and say they ain't winning F4.
Do you know? I love this fan. No, it's make or break for all of you, not most of the fan base. This game changes nothing if we win or lose. Stop adding extra pressure to the boys. The boys don't watch us. The boys don't get their training from us. The tactics for the boys aren't picked by us. What pressure are you talking about? These fans are nuts. We've got the wildest fan base, I tell you. Look, guys, thank you all so much for watching. We had about 400 watching live throughout. That was really, really good of you all. Thank you to Will Stewart, who's back, Ian, JP, Lee in the house. Yeah, we'll be back all week, different shows. Just hit the notification bell. You know when to watch. Thank you, Sava, for the super chats. Make sure you subscribe to the Football Heritage as well. TV, that's Sava's channel. Go over there, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Smash the like. Oh, didn't work.
Subscribe.
There it is. Smash the like.
Son got a goal and 2 assists today, by the way.
It was a good goal.
funny, man.
It was a good goal.
Son-
Did you see it? It was a really good goal.
Yeah, against someone.
Son is going to be our top scorer this season. I'm
Of course,
convinced
he
he's
always
going to do
is.
it again.
No, Solanke will walk it this year. He'll be
Ian,
our top
Ian,
scorer.
Ian,
Money's on
Ian.
Odegaard.
Wait, hold on. Ian, let's make a bet. Let's make a bet for like a good cause, like a charity or some kind of forfeit. Let's make a bet. I'll let you pick the wager.
David
because
Pleat's
I
got a
know-
good charity.
I don't know.
All right, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, do it for that.
Whoever
we'll do-
loses has to buy David's book.
Yeah.
That's not a forfeit. I might buy it anyway. That's one. Let's say whoever loses has to do a donation to David Pleat's charity that he's doing the thing for.
Right.
How much do you want to do?
I just listen. I don't bet on football. It's not, I never want. It's bad enough watching Tottenham without actually having money on them. So,
no, fair enough. No, that's fair enough. But I don't do forfeits. Not after what happened last time. So all right, gentlemen's bet. At the end of the season, we'll see who's top scorer.
Okay.
And the other person has to publicly apologise on this show to the other person.
Okay.
All right, done. You heard it all, everyone.
I'll accept your apology. That's okay.
Just do it now.
I'm going to squeeze every sorry out of you come into the season when Son is golden boot for Spurs again.
I don't think he'll get golden boot, but I definitely think he'll be the top scorer for the club this season.
Sorry, I mean golden boot at Spurs, not golden boot in the league.
Okay, yeah.
I think Haaland's already got that.
Sorry, let's
Haaland's already got golden boot, and we're not even into bloody October.
John Carews already set off, hasn't he? Where's Alex? Alex!
How did he call him John Carew, man? Jesus Christ. Everyone in the chat, big up. Have a good week. We're Tuesday. Yeah, have a good week. We'll see you on other shows. Make sure you follow Sava as well, and Hasper and whoever else is in the chat. And we are out of here. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, Tottenham.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away.